Hello, hello, hello out there. I didn't give you a specific time when I was going to be going live today, but I wanted to discuss a few things and give you some updates about what's been going on here and have a QA about ancestral healing and hoodoo. I posted some content here, some really interesting content to help you understand root work and conjure work. And of course, yes, I am here in Thailand. I've been here for almost 3 months now. So yeah, I'm in Thailand, and a lot of healing is going on with me away from America. So I'm really excited about this new adventure. I just feel like a new energy is coming in, not having to worry about money so much, and I can just kind of focus on me and then experiencing another part of the world. So it's a real adventure. It's a real adventure here. And then the energy here with the ancestors here, like I think I posted it on the channel here. Like I can see echoes. Ooh, I supposed to have this thing on. I can see, I have echoes of it. See echoes of the ancestors even here. So, I've talked about ancestors of ancestors. You know what I'm saying? When you look at ancestral veneration, it's a wide scope. It's like the elders here. Respecting the elders here on this land. You know how your family tell you respect your elders. I always say yes, ma'am, and no, ma'am. So when you go to a new land, you get a chance to meet brand new ancestors. In a sense, it's a respect to the land. Okay. So when we dive into ancestral veneration, you can we talk a lot about that um, on the Spiritual Roots Patreon over there on that platform. We talk a lot about that. But when you really get into ancestral veneration, you really understand the vastness of ancestral veneration and why it's so important in Voodoo, Ifa, Yoruba. Okay. So lately here, if you want to know more about this in detail, I have a workshop that's coming up. It's ancestral healing. So if you're interested in ancestral healing, doing the shadow work, elevating your practice, I do recommend getting into that workshop. Okay. So if you want to do that workshop, uh, I think you should have my contact information should be here on the channel. So you're able to, get into that workshop. Is again, it's going to be June uh 21st and 22nd. Yes, I posted it in the community. So if you're interested in that ancestral healing, I do recommend it. It's going to be a 2-day workshop. The full workshop is just $20. And I'm glad I'm able to offer it that way. It's absolutely valuable. It's absolutely a necessity, and it absolutely works. I've seen it. And when you get in that workshop, I'm going to push you. You're not going to be relaxing in there. You're going to be working, doing some real soul work, some shadow work to really help you make progress. Because that is going to be some things that you'll be able to take with you and continue to work on and elevate. That's where the real shadow work comes in at. I don't know if you in breaking down that family tree. The family tree is so important because something profound's happened doing ancestral healing in the first. I think that is the most important part because once you carry that and you get a chance to really see where you come from, not all this superficial stuff, not in the way that the ego wants to see itself, but you really get a chance to see yourself and do some refinement and look at your family. and really start doing some character work and start really looking at those wounds and being able to share a space where healing can happen and setting intentions. Now, things like this, as you get in a group like this, don't be surprised if you start experiencing you kicked up of dreams. You might start getting calls from family members that you don't really get along with. Maybe they want to apologize. So many phenomenal things go on when a group focus on ancestral healing. It's a collective thing. Does anybody have any questions for me about ancestral healing, or if you started to do any of the healing? This is the most important part uh, before you even jump into a hoodoo. This is a maintenance uh, to hoodoo and your ancestors, because the more you do this work, the better you're able to communicate with spirit once you get in there and start doing the work. So, like I said, if you're interested in taking it workshop, get over there. So let's talk about some great things with the hoodoo. So I really want to talk about this new hoodoo community that I've started. I've shared a lot of things with you here on the channel about my hoodoo experience. Okay. Uh, it's hoodoo has always been there. And as you begin to, work on it and start communicating with each other, you'll see more of the hoodoo in your life that you dismissed. But you really, it was hoodoo, but we didn't call it that back then. We did not call it a hoodoo back then. And I talked about too on here with some of the things I've shared here, the difference between root work and conjure. Those are two, even though they can work interchangeably, because some people interchangeably had to do both, but they are two different things, especially when you start to get into conjure. Because conjure is it's a lot of spiritualism that goes into conjure. There's a lot of spiritualism that goes into conjure, and conjure has so many components to it as well. I talk generally here without divulging too much information, but I'll go in detail up there on Patreon. There's so many resources over there. I'm so excited about that community. Um, but when you look into conjure, conjure has several components from it in it. When you begin to study the occult and start seeing the conjure in the Bible, that's why you see some of our ancestors say the Bible is the what is the greatest conjure book ever. And once you start looking at studying hoodoo in its traditional forms and start putting it together that work for you, okay, that works for you, when you put it all together, you'll look at the Bible in a brand new way. I promise you will. I promise you will. You it's kind of scary because you've been holding that book for a long time and you didn't even know all that was in there, because it's all coded, and it has been what they misinterpreted. So you'll be scared the whole time. You when you finally see it for yourself and you really start working, diving in the tradition of how we studied conjure and how we incorporated it, you'd be like, "Oh my gosh, I didn't even know this was in this scripture. I didn't know why we were saying this scripture and what was tied to the scripture." So I think that's very fascinating when we start looking at it. I want to talk about this other story too. I'm gonna share this here. I don't think I shared it anywhere else. But it crossed my mind today when I was thinking about my mother, and she had went to, I think this woman was a conjurer. I don't think she was no root worker. I think this one was very different based on what my mother told me. She went to her because my stepfather, he had some problems with the law and they had to go to court. And they tried everything, that looked seemed like they wouldn't get any headway. So my mom went to this woman, and this woman, she really worked with my mom trying to get my dad out. That's why I said she was a conjurer. And she even went as far. My mom said this woman had wrote some type of prayers that she put in my told my mom, when you go into this court, I need you to put this in your shoes. You need to walk on these prayers when you go in here. And my mom, she said her experience when she did that, she said you could see like the forces going on in the court, um, the way the prosecutor and my stepfather's attorney was going back and forth. She said at one point the lights started blinking on and off, but things did not turn in his favor. But she could tell that the work was working based on what was happening in the courtroom. And I was like, wow. And she was like, I know it should have worked. My mom was so a matter of fact because this woman was she was, the way my mom talked, this woman knew her stuff, and there is absolutely no way that wouldn't have worked. But the lady told her, my mom went to her and told her like it didn't work or whatever. And of course, the woman got out and she got her and started doing a reading, and she was telling my mom it wasn't if he was to be out of jail, your life would be, you think your life would be good, but it would not be good. This was meant to happen in this way, even though she tried to help my mom. But this woman was a conjurer, so you can learn too. And I think I posted some information about that when it's a book called Paper in My Shoe. It's a book called Paper in My Shoe that's on the channel, and you can check that book out. But it gives you a brief description of how to do conjure work with paper and just pen. See, a lot of people think you have to have all this stuff. Really, the only thing you need to have a clear understanding of is that you always got tools around to do your work no matter what. No matter what. Pen and paper is just as effective as, oils or incense or anything else. You work what you got. The most important thing is you understand the nature of your workings. A lot of people don't understand the nature of their workings or why they're doing things, or they don't understand why it didn't work. And it's called workings for a reason. It's called workings for a reason. It is work. Like anybody that, if I'm doing work with you and you were to call me and you said, I got so and so going on here. I had a young lady to call me like that. I got so and so going on here, and can you help me? I'm gonna probably, if everything look good and everything looks like it's intact, then I'll say yes. So when I'm working, you gonna be working too. Yeah, we gonna be working too. So you may be calling me, saying, is it working? No, is you working? Because we both supposed to be working. See, it goes two ways. Who in the chat? I ain't got my glasses on, Lord. I thought somebody in the chat. That goes two ways. So you won't just be doing the work. And that's why I see some people, they have people that do work for them. But my thing, when I see people doing that, what are you doing to help the worker help your work? Did the worker give you something to do? See, you'll have somebody working for you, but did they give you some work to do as well to ensure the results? It's called work for a reason. So being able to look at your conjure, um, understand the concepts of what conjure really is. Why people don't understand that, and understanding the nature of spirits too, because you having to get to know these spirits. You're having to set stuff out. You'll see that. I'm gonna give another example. I'm trying to keep it focused here. Okay, say you want to work with. I'm not gonna use that because everybody want to work with her, and I don't want to. I don't want to use it. I'm gonna use Papa Legba because I've worked with Papa Legba, and Papa Legba shows up a lot. Papa Legba showed up a lot when I moved here, and Papa Legba has showed up since I've been here. So, say you want to work with Papa Legba. You seen somebody work with Papa Legba. You've heard a lot about Papa Legba. You know, you want to work with this spirit. Okay. So, before you even work with this spirit, first off, the first thing you're going to do is ask your ancestors, tell your ancestors what you are going to be doing before you even do that. Don't even think about it. Matter of fact, Papa Leg, but none of these spirits don't even want to talk to you if you ain't got right with your ancestors. They don't want to talk to you. I'm being as serious as possible with that because these are ancestral spirits. You understand me? That's why it's a closed practice. That's why it's a closed practice. Listen to me now. They don't even want to talk to you if you ain't got right with your ancestors. That's why I push ancestral healing so hard the way I do. I see a lot of people want to jump in here and go past something and you don't understand the context of it, of the workers. You got somebody showing you how to do some work, but they not showing you, they showing you a spell, but they're not showing you the workings of it. It's just, again, you think you're doing something and you see them light these pretty candles and all that and give you what to say. But again, they not giving you the workings of it. Okay? So you get yourself together with your ancestors first and ask your ancestors, is it okay? Do a reading, you know, do a reading. If you get a okay with that, you get a okay to your ancestors say, okay, yeah, you can work with Papa Legba. But again, your reason need to be good when you come to your ancestors. Can't be full of no freckle knackle stuff. Your ancestors is not gonna, you know, it's gotta be for, because the way the spirits work, it's gotta be for the betterment of both parties. Don't come to them with no selfish desires. Okay. When I went to my ancestors, I was like, look, I want to talk to Papa Legba because I want to improve my spiritual communication. It was about my development, my spiritual development, my emotional healing, my psychological healing. It was for that. It was to bridge my connection and bridge my communication with my ancestors. It wasn't for no selfishness. You understand me? It was purely for development. So my ancestors said yes. Let me show you how Papa Ligba worked. Because I see him now because he's just like that is one deity has been immersed like in my everyday life. I be looking, I be like, damn, that's Papa Legba. I be like, damn, what the fuck? It trips you out when you start seeing it when it shows up. But they was like, yeah, you can work Papa Legba. So I start, again, learning as much as I can about Papa Legba. What does he like? What foods does he like? How does he like to be talked to? How much time do I have to spend on his altar? How long do I need to spend on his time on his altar? Let me do some meditation work with Papa Legba. Let me call him and meditate. This is important. This part is important, so important, and people miss this because you are dealing with an ancient shamanic practice as well. You understand me? So you start working with him, putting things out, journaling about your connections and your interaction with him in meditation. You're gonna start seeing it come to light. It's not fake. So the first time I saw him was in meditation. It tripped me out when I seen him. The first time I seen him, he was on the boat. Wasn't in no crossroad, and no, he was on the boat. He was a man in a boat with a red shirt on, with a straw hat. He had a fishing pole in his hand. He said, "You came here. You said you wanted to know more about your ancestors, and you wanted to know more about your lineage and communicate with them." Again, water represents the ancestors. That's how it's always come up to me. Okay, ancestral waters. Water. That's another reason why we like to be next to water. We do a lot of work by water. Water represents the bloodline as well. It represents the ancestors and the lineage as well. Okay. I think I broke that down in another video, but water is very sacred when it comes to communication with spirit. Water itself is alive and represents spirit. Okay. So I go on this boat and we go down this channel. We're going down this channel, and on each side of the channel is like these houses, these little houses on the side, and at the end it's these little gates, and my ancestors are standing out at these gates, and they're talking to me. Some look different. I've never seen like that before. Some look very old. They just look different. Look like they were from different areas, different timelines, different time spans. So that was a very profound experience. So once you get out of these meditation states with these with connecting with these spirits, okay, you'll start to see them start to kick up and manifest. You might even start dreaming about them. I don't know if I posted it here, but before I came here, I did a reading with my ancestors, and they were showing me getting on a plane, traveling. I was like, what is going on? What is happening here? Why am I going to this house? And they kept giving me a house. And in all the dreams, they was giving me a house. And I was like, what is happening here? What are you telling me to do, ancestors? Do I need to move? I don't know, because I kept having these recurrent dreams. These recurrent dreams. I just kept having them. And I said, you know what? I'm going to get clarity on this. And I don't know if our communication is muddled or I'm misunderstanding you. So we're going to call in Elegba to help bridge our gap in our communication. Is that okay with you? Again, I didn't go to Papa Legba first. I asked the ancestors first. You see what I'm talking about? There's got to be some structure. There, you know, there's structures to it. Okay, you just don't go out here renegade and start doing things. Everything is centered around your ancestors. You're not doing nothing without your ancestors. Okay, and so when I did that, and I started giving him little offerings. Again, I started going to his altar, giving him little offerings and asking him, telling him what was going on, the same way I'm talking to you. And I wasn't really getting anything from meditation, but then I started having these dreams. See, the more you work your altar too, you'll start to see them come in your dreams. The longer you work your altar, because it's building up ashe. these dreams will start to kick up too. But I talk about the trick to dreaming about ancestors. If you get over there, because I don't want to divulge too much. I think I'm even divulging too much now, even talking about this. But if you get over there in Patreon, I really give you some tools to help you get into here. That's the most important thing, getting into here, getting into that magic. Because the magic is in here. The magic is in here. Okay? Once you can get the magic, get your magic going in here, everything else is just it starts to you start to see it in your reality. So anyway, I have this dream about Papa Legba. I'm in this dream, and in this dream, I'm coming from out of town, and it was these three women. See how the three women that come up? It's three women. They come out and they bring me three little things like I think one of them was like a garlic, a piece of cloth, and then some type of red object. And they was like, "This is what you gonna need to get to do what you got to do." And I was looking at it, because they was holding it out to me, and I picked the garlic. And mind you not, I got my children with me. In some kind of way, I've come there with the dog too. So I got my children with me. They're small, and we got a dog. But mind you not, I don't have a dog. But in the dream, I have a dog. So we finished talking, and we, finished collaborating. And the women say, "Hey, let's go out and try to show you around the town, get something to eat, kind of show you what, around town." So we go out around town, and we're going to these different places and stuff, and it's this man that's following us, but he's shooting like little darts at us, but he missing us like a hair, like he like it's like pew, because that's the sound it was making in the dream. In the dream, it was making a sound like pew, pew, pew. And I was like, damn. I was like, damn, okay. And so I get mad and I tell the women, and I was like, let's go home. I said, because this is a man following us, and he is shooting darts at us. He is shooting, he's missing us by a hair. So I think we should go home. We need to go back to the house. So we get the kids, we go back to the house. And we make it to the house, and all of a sudden, the man that was shooting at us walks through the door. And I was like, I looked at them, I was like, this is the same man that was shooting at us? This is the same guy that was shooting at us. And they was like, what are you talking about? I said, this is the guy. And they act like they didn't believe me. And I was like, you know what? I'm uncomfortable. I'm going to go. And so I go outside and I look for my I look for my kids, and they're like, "We're right here, but we can't find the dog." I was like, "What?" They was like, "No, we can't find the dog." So I go down this alley. Looks like an alley. It trips me out. But it's like houses way down on the side. So I go down there, and this person tells me, they said, "You're looking for your dog. Your dog is probably in the house with that man. He always have everybody dogs." Again, this is an indication of Papa Legba. Dogs, the number three, red. All these signs was in this dream. It's trippy now. So I go in there and I was like, "Do you have my dog?" He was like, "Mm-hmm." He was laying on the couch. He was like, "He in there with the other dogs." So I go in there, I get my dog, and then I wake up at the dream. I was like, what does that mean? It was the same thing that the ancestors did. He was basically confirming the move. He gave me a lot of signs in that dream, but it didn't make sense then. So I said, okay, I'm supposed to move. This better be the right thing to do. Me and spirit go back and forth. So I get here, I get to Thailand, and I go down this street, and I kid you not, the streets here looks like alleys. Like when you get to the houses, they look like alleys. They look like alleys. That's how it look. And uh around where I live at, there's a lot of stray dogs. There is a lot of stray dogs. Okay. The other day I talked about this. I don't know if I posted it here for you guys to hear. I'm always posting these different places, so sometimes I'm not sure if I posted it here. But the other day I was walking and this black dog walked up to me. And the way he approached me, I knew it was Papa Legba. I knew it was Elegba. I knew it was him. And I got this sense that I needed to make an offering. Like the dog was hungry. But I was like, I don't have any food, you know. But soon as I made it to the store, I ran into this guy dressed in black and red. He said he needed food, food, food. And I gave him change for food. So you'll see how all these archetypes are start immersing themselves in your life when you start doing the work and really have a relationship with your ancestors, because your first form of communication is going to spiritual communication is going to be with your ancestors. Does anybody have any questions? You guys were chatty in the comments here, which I'm going to go ahead and post this live. So if you do have any questions about anything I'm saying, we can always have the discussion. But I'm just giving you example of how it really works. And you'll hear that too when you hear people talk about their experiences doing their initiation, and how these spirits start to show up, especially in Ifa, with Ogun and Oshun. When they show you how these archetypes kind of show up, it's like wow, and that's how it is. That is the best way I can explain it without divulging a lot of information. But if you are wanting to know more and you're interested in deepening your practices, and you want a more intimate relationship with your ancestors, you want to have an experience, that validates your walk. That's my thing. Are you sure you on your path? Are you speaking to your spirits? Are your spirits in your everyday life? Are they showing up? You know, because once you start doing the altar work, and we go over how to do altar work and how to stay consistent at your altar. And I think the most important thing is we get is that almanac. You're gonna need that almanac. You're gonna need that almanac. Okay? You're gonna need that almanac. So once you start working that altar, and we go over how altar work really works and how frequent you should be at your altar, because again, you're building that ashe up. You're building your magic up when you are able to go to your altar and get used to going there and spending time there. Okay? So you'll learn a lot of that in conjure. Now, root work is, again, I would say it's shadow work. It's like uncrossing work. You be doing a whole bunch of spiritual baths. It's really focused on you. Okay, root work is really focused on you. Now you can lay some tricks with root work. Root work, you can lay some tricks. You know, a lot of people do. They can use some Bible scripture. I know some people. They put prayers in they, our grandparents did it all the time. When you would see a Psalms on the wall, or you would see a different prayer on the wall, your grandmother them, your mama them, again, that was laying a trick right there. You would see them put prayers in walls and prayers and different things. Again, that's root work. They're laying little tricks, and they do work. Okay, so that's more of root work. Now, when you get into conjure, I don't even recommend anyone getting into conjure until they have really mastered the root work, mastered the healing, the root work, the ancestral work. Because conjure, you come in contact with some of these spirits, and you have to pay them. You have to be respectful. And if you haven't built up a good relationship where you consistent and being with your ancestors and keeping your word with them and all that, you probably don't want to be working with these spirits. Some spirits are easy to work with, some of them are not, depending on what you trying to do. But I don't recommend, you know, working going too deep into conjure until you did the root work. And there's even levels to conjure, because I'm not going to introduce you, because I have to go back to how I started and how my ancestors taught me. Before I could even start working with any other spirits, I only work ancestors and the angels. That's really the only thing. And don't dismiss the angels, because they can put in some work too. It's some fine angels, baby. It's some angels that can do some, they can, they can get in some work. Okay, so that's the safest way when you first start practicing conjure, working with your ancestors and the angels. That is the most safest way. And it's still kind of, even that work kind of stays on the side of root work when you're working with angels. Now, when you get into conjure and you go beyond that, then I like to call them, for lack of a better term, it's calling them goetic spirits, because you'll run into that where you'll start having to work with these spirits that really have a personality. So you have to be careful on how you're working with them, and a lot of them like to be paid. They're not going to be working for you like that if you're not going to do your side of the bargain. So, like I said, there's levels to it, and you can take your time. I don't, no one, I don't expect you to go out and be able to do this all of a sudden. Like I said, it's a practice and it's a way of life. It's a way of life. You have to, knowing how to um tame your emotions, how to control your mind. All of those things are important when you're going on this path, and it takes time, and being patient with yourself. And you learn a lot too when you're doing that root work. That's really the come up right there. That's because you really see the power of your see how powerful your healing is. See how powerful of a healer you are. Because if you can heal yourself, you can go out and heal somebody else. That's the initiation right there. If you can heal yourself, you can heal somebody else. I done, a lot of people don't want to hear that. They want to pick stuff up. They ready to do a spell. They ready to see what they want all this information to be divulged to them. They want, I I I have no words for that because I know I had to practice for a long time before I even start picking up stuff, moving stuff, and playing with stuff. Oh, it's people in the chat. I'm sorry, you guys. Hi, Coley Cole. So before you even start picking up stuff and doing stuff, and people are sharing a hell of a lot out here on social media. They're showing you these spells, and I see it all the times with a psalm. You need to say psalm, psalm, psalm. I say, okay, you're telling them this. This person is going here, and they're saying this psalm. Do they know how to work it? It's more to that. Like I talk about this more on Patreon, but when you're looking at the word Lord, that's why I say when we break this down and look at this Bible, I recommend you getting the Ethiopian Bible too. You know, it's not necessary, but I do recommend that you get one because it that is more in its organic form. But when you're looking at the word Lord in there, Lord means like spirit. You think that it means like automatic. They are addressing the spirit in there. You understand me? They not addressing like God, oh Lord. And see, when you know how to conjure, you'll see that. They're addressing the spirit in there. You think they addressing God or they're talking about Jesus. And our ancestors knew that. That's why some of them songs were so powerful because they saw the conjure, that spirit that was in sitting in that song that they was able to conjure and use to do some work. You understand? You calling that spirit and then knowing how to go to your altar and access Ashe immediately. That's why it's important for you to go to that altar as much as as frequently as possible. A lot of people, y'all want, we want all this power, whatever, but we don't want to put in the work to go to the altar. And I'm not talking about going there 5 or 10 minutes. No, you need to actually sit yourself down there and start doing your work, writing down your intentions right there, talking to that spirit. Yes, yeah, I mean, that's a good buy, and in its rawest form. I recommend that you get one and get you an almanac because you're gonna need it. But we talk about that, and it's very affordable over there. All the tiers are affordable, and there's a lot of resource for information. Like I said, I'm so excited about it because I get a chance to really share a lot of this with you guys at an affordable way with no hype on it. With no hype on it, no confusion on it, and you get a chance to collaborate and talk about your experience openly because we can't share a lot here because it's closed and for a good reason. But I have put I've dropped, I think I've dropped so many pearls here to really give you an idea of how sacred hoodoo is and how powerful it is, how liberating it is, how vast it is. Because you get in hoodoo too, I like it because of the conjure parts, because it is the spirits that you can work with is numerous. A lot of people want to work with voodoo until you look at hoodoo, because you want to you know because these are religions. You understand me? Voodoo is technically is a religion. Not that we can't practice it. See, in hoodoo, we can touch all that. You understand me? We can touch all that. in hoodoo. I've seen hoodoo span into Hinduism. I have seen hoodoo go all the way into Buddhism. Yes, when you go deep, you will work with several spirits. Sometimes you won't. Some people can work hoodoo all their life and only work with ancestors. Some people go on the conjure part, like I talked about my uncle. My uncle was a conjure man. He was a conjure man. You have to be careful with those conjure people too, because to me, some of these conjure people would put the cart before the horse, and then and now you're wrestling with some spirits because you didn't do your root work, and now you all caught up with these spirits, and you will see that go on with some of these conjure men. You'll see some that go on with some of these conjure men. And there is a lot of conjure men, and all conjure ain't good conjure. I was hearing a girl the other day. She said she met this guy, and she really really liked him, but she didn't really know why she liked him. She didn't know why she liked him, and one day she started to snoop on him. He went to use her bathroom. In some kind of way, she was able to snoop and see what he was doing. She said she looked in there, looked over there, and that boy was working her. He was oiling her toilet seat. He was working her. He was working her. And she said when she didn't tell him that she saw that. She said so after she found out he was working her, she cleaned herself up or whatever he was working on her, and she started laying tricks for him. You know what I'm saying? She started laying tricks for him. So you got some conjure men out there. And sometimes it ain't all because I know my uncle, he was not, like I said, being the nature of who he was and what he was into, and he was very successful in his conjure. I don't doubt his ability to conjure whatsoever. I think he was really a really good conjure man. But again, because he always had problems with the law, he was a violent man. He was always trying to slip and slide out of some. I don't want to think about the spirits that he had to make deals with to keep him out of trouble. You know, I don't recommend it's they out there now. It's some out there. It's some out there, and some of them, you'll never know that they're working you. You will never think that they were conjure men, that they conjure men. You looked at my uncle, you probably wouldn't think that. You look at him, you'd be like, oh, he just a dude off the street, a thug off the street. He don't know shit. You'll probably think that about him. A real conjure man. So you'll be surprised, um, who knows it. And it certainly tripped me out, especially to learn that, my uncle was a real. I was just like, oh my God. And it wasn't like on the good side. It wasn't like on the good side. Yep. You sure was, Ashley. You sure was. Hoodoo in the church, I'm telling you, hoodoo is right there in that church. Now I know when I was growing up, like I told you, I was going to they were specifically doing who they'll swear up and down today. I don't know. This is where I get confused at because at some point in the early church, they were very aware of saying um the spirit they was using the spiritual practices of their ancestors in the religion. They were very aware of that. Some kind of way they lost touch with that. I think to me, what I feel like when those elders start passing away, they start losing touch with it. And another way they lost touch with it too is because we didn't call it that. Never once, I can say that. When I've seen it, I've never once heard my mom, my grandmother, none of them call it hoodoo. This is a newer term, modern term for it today. But back in the country where I grew up in the South, it wasn't no name for it. We didn't call it that. I think now we're calling it that just to give a name to our culture and our spiritual practices. But back when we were growing up, they didn't call it that. It was and if you remember when you get in there and you start seeing this stuff, and as you communicate with your ancestors, they'll start showing you all the hoodoo, all these memories that start coming up. You think these, you think it's just coming up out of nowhere. No, them are your ancestors. They giving you knowledge right then. When these memories start to come up and you start doing the connection, you like, I'll be damned. I've been knowing hoodoo all along. These damn people, they'll show you once you start working with them. I always tell my, I told my ancestors too. One time I said, I don't know what's wrong with the living ancestors. I get along with you ones that passed over better than the ones that's alive because y'all sitting got more sense. But again, I think it's a disconnection there because we didn't call it that, and the elders fell out of the church. They not fell out, but when they passed on, they kind of lost it. They kind of lost touch with of the core of what it really was. And then this false Christianity got pumped in there. That's what I think that happened there. But back when it first started, when our churches first started, we were very connected to our ancestral practices. But some kind of way, it lost itself in the religion. And maybe because you know, it was too cloaked in it. It was too cloaked in it, so the lines got blurred. I could look at it from that perspective too. Maybe it was too cloaked in it, and the line didn't get it got blurred, and it wasn't enough elders alive to keep us in touch with it. But then too, I look at too that you have some people trying to keep it alive, and they went to opening up spiritualist churches. So I think too, I kind of know there was a break in the church because there was an influx of people opening up spiritualist churches and continuing the work. Because, like I said, in Arkansas, we got two spiritualist church, and they are, and believe me, them churches, you're gonna see some conjurers and root workers up in there. That's what that is. Any type of spiritualist in a name of a church. They ain't gonna tell you that, but if you sit around that church and you make sure you go to Wednesday night prayer service, you're going to see it. Okay? They probably calling it something else when you see it, but you gonna see it up in there. Okay? Especially in the spiritual church. But the church, I mean, it is hoodoo all up in there. Especially that Pentecostal, they doing nothing but conjure. That's what gospel music is. That's why your skin be quickening when you hear certain gospel music. I would love if I could find a spiritualist church. Been looking for one for a while. I'm in North Carolina, in the country. They got to be around here. Girl, yeah, you right. You right in the midst of a lot of ancestral power where you are. So I would be really connecting with that land down there. I think you meant North Carolina. So there's a lot of ancestral energy down there. There's a lot of ancestral artifacts down there that you can start connecting with down there too. So yeah, I would be really looking if I were you, because you're right down in there in the midst of a lot of ancestral energy. Yeah, yeah, you need to be going to those landmarks down there. So when we go to these old landmarks too, when you go into these old landmarks, especially those old mounds, um, those places where you know our ancestors spent time, you really get a chance to connect with the ancestors on a deeper level. There's an interchange that happens there. The more you can do this, the more you can open yourself up to their frequency and their voice. Yeah, the Pentecostal church, they don't want to admit it now. But honey, I go back and I look at that church. Honey, them folks was shouting, falling out. Folks wearing all white. You hear me? In the terror room, speaking in tongues. And then you look at a voodoo ceremony. It looks exactly the same. Nothing is different. But you'll have them that fight you tooth and nail that you the devil and you a demon and for even saying something like that. But honey, I have my line and you sitting up here doing it. You're actually doing this because not many uh, 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 having the Holy Ghost and Holy Spirit is strictly when that started out, that was specifically uh for the black church. Not many white churches did any Holy Ghost shouting and stuff like that in their church. They didn't do that. And you already know that Christianity is the most, Sunday is the most segregated day over there in the United States. Black people go to their church and white people go to their church. And that's another reason why we was able to keep it closed because and they still a lot of those churches are still segregated today. Not many you don't have many churches that's, not segregated. But black people went to their church and we went to our church. And when you see that shouting and dancing, that was specifically in the black American culture. You didn't see that too much in the white church. They didn't start doing that when they start seeing us do that, then they start doing that. We did all that charismatic, even the way we preach, the rhythmic way when you had the preacher be going, and well, he went on down here, and well, again, that's conjure. That's masters of ceremony. You hear what I'm saying? Taking those breaths like that. You got that chi, he's working that chi, he's working that breath, he's working that rhythm. All that is conjure, but they ain't gonna tell you that, but they still doing it. they still doing it. They don't call it that, but once you open your hoodoo eyes, honey, you don't pay Christian folks no attention because you don't remember who you is and you don't know what you're doing. So don't get mad at me because you don't know about yourself. You don't pay them no attention no more because they don't know what they talking. You don't even argue with them no more because you see it for what they is. These people, they so caught up in the religion, they have uh rejected the spiritual practices of their ancestors. They don't want to, they didn't got so caught up in the religion. And our ancestors, when that religion was forced up on them, they made sure they kept their spiritual practices under the religion. But like I said, somehow it got blurred, it got lost, the elders died out. There was a disagreement and probably I see I think that happened in the 50s and 60s. There was a break between the Protestants or something like that, the Methodists or something like that. And then you see these spiritualist churches come on the rise within the 50s and 60s, especially down there in rural areas. Okay, but that's what they're doing. That is what they do. And they can deny it all they want to. They can try to argue. I don't even argue with them no more. I just laugh at them because I know they don't know. They just don't know. But once you start looking at that and then you start doing your ancestor work and really healing and stuff, you'll start to see it. Because the more I start to heal and start doing my shadow work, the more I start seeing hoodoo. That it's such a trip when you're healing ancestral trauma and you really start to listen to the stories of your ancestors and you're breaking it down for the good, the bad, and the ugly, because you need to see both sides of yourself. You need to see both sides of your ancestors. Y'all, your ancestors weren't all good. They passed on trauma to us. Yeah, they passed on some strength and power and liberation, but they also passed on trauma. And we got to unpack that too. But when you start to unpack that, you start to finding jewels behind it. I promise you. That's how it was for me. It's like my eyes had started being open. Like everything, I started seeing hoodoo in everything. I was like, what the hell is happening here? I was like, what the hell is happening here? And my whole perspective just changed. I just started to see things so much differently. Once I started doing an ancestral work and healing that trauma and learning about who I am and who my ancestors are, looking at the good, the bad, the ugly, and really staying focused, I started to elevate more and more and more. And my relationship with the communication with my ancestors got better and better, and they was able to relay more information and open up more information within my DNA. It's going to open up once you start doing the work, but it's blocked by so much trauma, you can't get to it. And that's what that ancestral healing, I'm sorry, I don't mean to laugh. That's what that ancestral healing is all about. That's why I push that more than anything. I had one girl, I was watching some girl, she was like, I hate reading myself, but I don't trust nobody else to read me. And I'm not, what did she say? It's hard for her to read herself. That's what she said. It's hard for her to read herself. I wish more terror, and at least she was honest about that. At least she was honest, and I can attest to that. It's only so much you're gonna be. It's only so far you're gonna be able to go with them tarot cards before you do that shadow work. I don't give a damn what nobody say. You keep playing with that and thinking you getting past something and think you doing something jiffy. I don't know what the hell some of these people be doing. You think you doing something jiffy, and after a while, them tarot cards gonna be able to call you out. And if you don't listen, your readings are gonna be static. If you don't listen, they'll start calling you out to heal. You won't be able to read yourself. And a part of it, you ain't ready to read yourself because you ain't ready to look at yourself. You want to believe all this other, the ego part of yourself. You don't even want to look at the other shadow parts of yourself. And that's why a lot of people can't read themselves, because they're not ready to look at themselves. I'm telling you, it's only so far you're going to go, and I am a testament to that. That's when my readings start. When I start, yeah, they do. That's why honey, they always want you to show them. That trips me out too, because them be the very damn people that want you to show them a damn spell or something. I be like, what the hell? No, I'm not gonna be showing you how to jack people up and do shit. No, and so you can hurt yourself and cross yourself. Y'all, you don't be doing that, but crossing yourself up when you do that. That's all you doing. That's all you doing. You crossing yourself up every dang on time. You trying to get past something, or you working somebody because you mad, because you jealous and all that. You got to remember, when you're working out of that, that's why you got to be careful when you're doing conjure work. You are calling on these spirits to come into your mind. That's why these people have depression. That's why they have low self-esteem. They might be suicidal, because these the kind of spirits that you have to work with when you're doing hexing. And if you haven't did those shadow work and you don't know how to step out of that when you done, you don't know how to step out of that when you done, them spirits will eat your ass alive. But y'all, you can keep playing with it though. I let you play with it. Play with it and think you're getting somewhere. Play with it, because at the end of you the only one that gonna be messed up, because you got yourself all crossed up because you didn't want to do any self mastery. That's what that's about. I woke up after COVID and I've seen people playing with stuff they ain't got no business playing with. They don't even have the right mind to be in doing it. And somebody that gave, it's like giving a gun, a shotgun to a child. You got people that they just want the money. They don't care whether you do the shadow work or not. They'll go ahead and teach you that. I had one customer that came into me. She came into my shop one day and she was talking about, what she knew. This is how you can tell when a person, because you'll see that it's so popular on social media. I can do that and I can put you in this and I can get my ancestors and I know how to do this. And I was like, oh, see, when I see you doing that, I'm taking information in. I'm proceeding. My spirits is telling me how to proceed with caution with you. So you will see a lot of that. And she was telling me who taught her, but the person that taught her said she was going to have to stop because she was good. She hadn't did any shadow work, and it was affecting her because she was working so much on the dark conjure side. But that was her teacher, and you can tell she had some of that same frequency of her teacher. You just doing shit because people that made you mad, and now you want to go, hi, I Thomas. Now you want to go on your altar and you want to burn somebody up and you want to do some, I don't get it. I don't get people like that just want to just be, you want the power. That's why I say you'll meet some conjurers in there that can conjure whatever. But if they haven't did that root work, they ain't did that shadow work, beware of those people. Beware, they're gonna always find themselves in the bind, and they're gonna always, you're gonna always be you're gonna always be subjected to those spirits. Because you're gonna have to pay them. You're gonna have to pay them. Because you didn't want to do a root work, you didn't want to do the root work, you want to take a shortcut. You didn't want to do any self-mastery. So you're gonna be subjected to these different types of spirits if you don't want to do any self mastery. Nobody want to talk about that. That's why when I see people on social media, especially when I see some of these, that's what I call them. I don't even want to call someone practitioner, and this is not shade. They're influencers. They're more influencers than they are practitioners because now you want to go out here and show you can battle. It's crazy. It's your ancestors, you want to battle with ancestors and stuff. I'm just like, ain't we supposed to be using this to try to get our colonizer in check, but yet we're using this against each other? Like, shouldn't we be all putting this together and putting the colonizer in check instead of trying to battle each other? Who is this and who is that? You know, I be leery of people like that. Especially when you're saying it like that, because honey, I'm telling you, the spirit, when you're doing your root work and when you are working on yourself, you you will probably be mad and be want to do something when you go to your ancestor altar. That's why I say go to your altar when you mad, when you pissed off, when you just can hit somebody, when somebody that made you mad, they done hurt your damn feelings. The first thing, I know you don't want to do it, but that's the first thing you need to do is go to your altar. I don't give a damn how mad you is. I don't give a damn how sad you is. I don't give a damn how depressed you is. That's when you need to go. That's why it's there. It is your spiritual solution and power to every problem that you face in your life. That's how you got to treat that altar. And you got to know when you go there, you going to come back feeling better or you going to come back with some answers. Because that they got your back. Okay? I don't give a damn. A lot of people don't want to go there. I don't want to go there. I'm in a bad mood. That's when you need to get your ass up and go. You want to do all that crying? Do it at the altar. Let your ancestors know what's going on. Honey, it's some people that have made me mad and pissed me off, and I be wanting to punch. And I go to that altar and I be like, look here, ancestors. And I be talking to them just, like I was talking to y'all. This MM made me mad, and this I want to do this shit, and I want to fuck them up, and it hurt my feelings, and that's what I want to do. But if they didn't mean it in a bad way, please show me. Show me that it's just not my ego. Be real with yourself. Be naked in that spirit. They know you anyway, so it don't go there shucking and jiving like that. So the realer you are with them, the more they ain't gonna play about you. You ain't gonna have to say nothing sometimes. And sometimes they'll let you know if that person, you'll know if that person is out of line, but you need to be talking to no spirits. I have never had to go to no altar and just want to work somebody out and just, only thing I have to do is go to the altar and start talking. The ancestors gonna let me know if it's my ego or what's going on in that situation to where I can clear it out. And give them time. Sometimes it take them a week or two to get things done. Don't think it's gonna be instant. Spirit don't work on your time; it works on their time. Did you hear what they said? God never come when you want to, but He's always on time. That's spirit. And then sometimes you be so caught up in your mind, be so stressed out or not relaxed at the moment, you may not come up with the solution. That's how spirit is. You'll find yourself doing something totally different, and the spirit of going just come in your head and be like, I want you to do this right here. You can do this right here, and you can resolve that. And all of a sudden you'll be like, damn, why didn't I think about that at first? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Why didn't I? That's how spirit do. I've seen it happen. I've done it so many times. So when you are able to go to the altar, be authentic, be naked, be vulnerable, because you don't know nothing. Spirit will remind you of that. Spirit had. I don't give a damn how many books I have went back and forth with my ancestors on stuff, and they be telling me do stuff, and I be like, I don't want to do that because I ain't read no book, and then they would get in my ass and say, you need to remember, you don't know nothing. You don't know nothing. Because if you did, you wouldn't be talking to me. I don't care how many books you've read. That's somebody else's experience. You only read that book because you had some stuff going on with you and you was trying to understand what was going on with you. And we don't have a problem with that because we want you to understand. But don't think that you know everything because you don't. Now get over here and do this. I've had to do that because you don't know everything. That's when I see these people, they think they know everything. You are forever a student. Even here, if I'm able, and I know a lot, I can share a lot with you, but I can stay in my place and keep my ethics because I'm a forever student with spirit. Because they will hurry up and check you quick, quick. You think you know something? Hell, they will shut you down. Especially when they'll get guiding you and you think you finna do something outside of them. That's why I say a lot of people ain't got no relationship with their ancestors. Because if they did, a lot of the shit they wouldn't be doing. And that's real. A lot of that, some of these people ain't shucking and jiving. Some people are shucking and jiving because if you see a lot of the stuff they wouldn't, you keep your mouth closed because it's power in keeping your mouth closed. It's power with not popping off. I wanted to pop off one time. I can be more clear here because I'm not on that platform. But I talked to you guys about it when I started taking that Hoodoo course. Remember I was telling you about that? Okay. I don't know how y'all gonna take this. A lot of people might be offended. I really respected this woman, and I still respect her now. So I'm gonna be open about it. So I got on that I started taking this courses with over there with Memphis Conjure. The woman from Memphis Conjure, Miss Lisa K. I really respected her. Still do respect her. Very disappointed in um her her being the way she was the practitioner that she was the things that she was doing. Very disappointed in the way she was doing that. And I still want to get her the benefit of the doubt because again, she gained so much exposure. So when you have somebody that gains so much exposure and you talk about your experience with them, uh, people they go for popularity. Some of them don't want to hear your experience, but I can only talk about my experience with her. So I got in that course, and again, I told you guys I was taking the course, just to see how much I know. She was close to me when I was in Arkansas. So I was like, yeah, this would be cool. She right down the road from me. She in Tennessee. I'm in Arkansas. It ain't nothing but what, 2 hours away. So if I needed to, hook up with her or something like that, I could always hook up with her. So I get over there, I get in the Hoodoo course, the comprehensive course, and it was just I was like, I cannot believe this. With some of the material and then the way it was being explained, it was just so vague. And then some of the things that I was seeing in there, and I'm like, some of this is not hoodoo. This some of this is not a hoodoo. I know it when I see it. Um, so some of the things I was seeing in there in some of the class, I was like, okay, cool. Uh, maybe this gets, we get deeper in there when we go in the lectures or whatever. So I get in the comprehensive class and we go into the first lecture and I'm asking her, because I made it through the course pretty much. And I was asking her in the lecture, what are we going to be talking about? Are we going to be talking about the stuff that we looked at in these books on the module? And she was like, oh no, we just jump around everywhere. We do this. And I was like, oh, what? What? Oh, I mean, we have a whole syllabus here, a whole thing so we just gonna throw that out there and we just, you know. Okay, so I was like, okay, I don't want to be too judgmental. Maybe I'm just being too old, ODC or whatever, OCD or whatever. Maybe I'm just, my autism is at work here because I'm looking for things to be a certain kind of way. I'm looking for patterns. If is there a structure or pattern, I can't feel right. And so I was like, okay. And so we got to talking in this, we were lecturing about something, and I started sharing. I think I would start sharing in the lecture. And she stopped me and was like, why are you in this why are you in this comprehensive class? And I was like, I thought this is the class I need to be in. And she's like, no, you need to be in a master class. So I went over to the master class, but the same thing that was in the master class, same thing that was in the comprehensive class was in the master class. There was no difference in those classes. I also, like there were materials that were available in the comprehensive class. I felt like that should not have been available to new new practitioners because you had a person in there that was practicing out of the clavicle and had no idea she shouldn't have been messing with the clavicle. And I was like, why would you put that in there? Why would you expose them to the clavicle? And I'll talk about that more on Patreon, but you can look that up yourself. But why would you have and here this girl now she got to go in and do a whole different cleansing because she's smelling like sulfur and stuff because she didn't use this clavicle book and then had no idea she was messing with these type of goetic spirits. And she run around here smelling like sulfur because she got this energy around. I just thought that was just so irresponsible as a, I just thought that was just so irresponsible, to expose her to, in this new practitioner, which I could see how she made the mistake because you threw all of that in there like that was a part of the assignment. And so it would be easy for her to make a mistake and think that, oh, I'm supposed to do this. So I can see how she made a mistake because she thought that's what she was supposed to be. And then we get in the lecture, you told her, oh, no, no, no. I didn't feel good about that. But that was scary. I felt scary for that young practitioner because again she's fresh out the water. She doesn't know anything about the occult. She doesn't know anything really about root work or conjure, and she had no idea that she was practicing rituals for an advanced practitioner. That was for a band. She didn't have the knowledge to be messing with that. And so I was in that master class. So every lecture I'm waiting, I'm looking through all of this stuff. It is no hoodoo. There's just there's nothing where she is sharing hoodoo. Okay, let's not get it confused. And I reached out to her and I talked to her about that. And not only me, because she had brought it up in class that she had other students that were not satisfied with the structure in the class and what was going on in the class. So it's like that she was just ignoring it. That's the best word I can come up with. She was being passive about it. And so I was like, you know what? Because everything in there I already knew. Everything that, again, I've been practicing this for a long time, you guys. I've been in this uh, since 2000. I've been occult study, the occult, the esoteric knowledge. I've been studying this a long time, being solitaire. And so when I saw that, I was like, no, this ain't it. You know, this is not the way that this is to be taught in this way, you know. And so I just let it go. I said, I'm just going to let this go because people don't even realize that you don't know. Because when you don't know that somebody is not being forthcoming with you. See, a lot of people in there, they were new, they were fresh, they didn't know. So they had no idea that this was going on because they didn't have enough knowledge to know that they weren't being passed anything. They were absolutely she was not being forthcoming. It's almost too like she was gatekeeping. But my thing with that, I was like, if this is gatekeeping, then why would you have people to pay for this course just to gatekeep the information? That's crazy. Why would you do that? Why would you do that? Okay. So, it was just a few things in there that I felt like it just eroded her integrity. I know it eroded her integrity. Um, and I just left it alone. I said, you know what? I'm just gonna leave it alone. I was really upset. I was more disappointed about it because I talked to the ancestors about it. I was like, I don't even know what to do because I've talked to her in the most professional way as possible to um to resolve the issue, and it's just, I don't know what's going on. And the ancestors just like, you know what? You already know what you know. You got in their class, and what you found out is that you know. You said you wanted to find out how much you know. You did that. You found out that you knew. Okay? Don't worry about it. Don't bring it up anymore. But I like again, I was so disappointed with her. Every few days it would come up again. And I was like, ancestors, like I how many people, that she gonna do like this? What should I do about this? Because I don't want to feel like it was not a good investment for me. Again, they said, leave it alone, leave it alone. I was like, well, how can she just get away with doing stuff like this to people? How can she just get away with that? You're welcome, Ashley. I was like, how can she thank you for coming to the live. I was like, why how can she get away with that? So I left it alone. And my ancestors like, don't you worry about it. Nobody gets away with anything. Nobody slides about anything. And I know you're feeling like that. No, you don't need to do anything. You don't need to talk to her anymore. You just need to go and keep doing what you're doing. You're on the right path. You're on the right track. You know what you know. You got out. You know. You know what I'm saying? You already know. And so I just left it alone and kept on doing my thing, being the practitioner I am, focusing on me, keeping my altar hot, you know, doing what I'm doing. And then I come to find out that this she was doing perfectly well, in good shape, looked it good, and everything. I mean, she looked it fine to me. She was in good health. And then one day she was just gone, and I was just so shocked. I was like, "What the hell?" And her business was really growing too, because she had, I think, bought another store. So they had two stores, and she was gone. She was in the peak of her business. She had just started another business, and she was gone. And now she gone. So the only thing I can get out of that is nobody gets away with anything. You can get out here and you can be, going out here with people and thinking that you're doing something and you're passing some knowledge on and you're not being ethical with it. The spirits always see you. Spirits always see you. We don't get away with nothing, especially when it's impacting other people. You a practitioner. Um, you can't. You cannot. That lady is gone. She was in good health. Business was, and she was in the I think her business in the show P Valley. Her business I mean, she took a fast growth. But you can't put people in and put people in the course and you don't know what you don't know, and you claim to know, you don't even know yourself, and to string people along and try to gatekeep. I don't really think it was gatekeep. I don't think that the a lot of it, I don't think that she knew. I don't even think it was gatekeeping. I think she knew some stuff, but not as much that uh as that she was telling, because it was too much stringing along. It was too much jumping back and forth and not could not because the lesson is right there. We're in the class. I'm a person, if I'm telling you to read a book, like if we get over there in Patreon, I'm going to do a whole book review on that book to help you understand what to take away from the book and what's hoodoo. And that's a lot of the material that we're reading in there. If I put a book up there for you, I'm going to give you some type of review in the book that you need to take away in that book. You may not need to take away everything in that book, but I'm definitely going to let you know what is a part of our hoodoo traditions that you need to take away in that book. And that person wasn't able to do that. That person wasn't able to identify some things. And then when I remember I started identifying some things. I don't know. I felt like she got mad, and sometimes that's hard for me to catch on to because I'm autistic. I miss social cues, so sometimes I can piss people off and not realize it. But now that I look back, I think I kind of pissed off because the statement that she made, because she made this statement like, what did she say? You're not gonna come in here and try to run my class or think you know more than know, or something like that. And in my mind, I'm autistic because you're not being direct with me. If you got something with me, you have to tell me because if I got some issue with you, I'm gonna tell you. So I'm just like, is she talking about me? Or she, I don't know where that comes from. So I kind of think that it was directed at me. But again, because of my I'm on an autistic level. Sometimes I miss social cues. So I sometimes I can miss when people are pissed off at me. And again, it's easy for me to offend people because most people, the way our mind work, autistic people, because a lot of us live more on a spiritual realm, and the way we see things through our lens, we don't we don't look at hierarchy. A lot of people, you'll see that it's not that we're trying to be funny, but some of that neurodivergency and that autism, we just don't see that. And we don't what do you call it? We don't, how some people, they beat around the bush. Atypical people would beat around the bush thinking that you're gonna get the cue. No, I'm not gonna get the cue. You need to tell me what's the hell going on. I don't play that game. If I have an issue going on, I'm going to talk to you. I'm going to say, this is the issue. And see, some people don't like that because they want you to beat around the bush. That's why I say I don't fit into this world because I feel like everybody hide behind a damn mask. Like you got this, this mask that you portray to the world, but then behind the mask, you somebody totally fucking different. You know what I'm saying? You somebody different. You putting the front up here. That's why I say these influencers, you got to be careful about these influencers. Again, this is the person they present. This is a actor, whatever. This person, personality that they present because they're an influencer. So they create these personalities to influence you. You see what I'm saying? So I, that you see that with a lot of atypical people, and really with they're starting to see with neurodivergence and autistic people. A lot of us just we don't get down like that, and it can be off-putting to some people. Especially when they think I'm the queen here, I'm the hierarchy here, and then they have somebody that's forthcoming, that's very direct, and they ask questions without beating around the bush. You know, they ain't trying to mess with your ego. They just really want to answer to that question. Yeah, we just really want to answer that question. And here you is now your ego bruised because and everybody else that's atypical looking at you like, how dare you? I'm just like, how dare what? Hell, I thought you wanted to know the answer too. I'm not gonna beat around the bush with you. I'm just not. We're not gonna get anywhere like that. Not gonna get anywhere like that. And that's just how I am. Even when I'm working with you, and we're doing work together, I'm gonna be forthcoming with you. I'm gonna tell you right off the bat what it is. I'm not gonna beat around the bush with you. Even when you get in the ancestral healing workshop that we have coming up June 21st and June 22nd, I'm going to push you to do that family assessment. You need to break that down and look at your family tree. You don't want to look at that. You need to look at that trauma because you need to get that medicine. The medicine is in the trauma. I know you don't want to do it, but you ain't going to get the medicine until you start looking at the trauma. The same thing that make you sick gonna get you well. Ain't that something? The same thing that made you sick is the very thing gonna get you well. That's exactly what you need to look at it. You need to break down. You need to cry. You need to talk about it. Thank you, Coley Cole. Now and that's not our intentions to hurt anyone's feelings. I think some people ego again because they're in this social structure. They're in this social hierarchy. That's just like uh when I worked at a job, some people didn't, they were scared of the supervisor. I remember that somebody had put my name down to do some extra chores. And I was a CNA. I said, no, you're not gonna turn me into a janitor. I'm not a damn janitor. I don't take care of furniture and floors and shit. I don't do that. I take care and clean up people. Yeah. And I think we need to normalize that. I think we have normalized fake stuff. Some of the stuff I've seen, some people are just like so gullible. It's hard once you start the spiritual awakening. Sometimes the stuff you see is just like, uh, and that's how it is. Sometimes you look at it and see how program some people are easily led astray. There's no independent thinking going on there at all. And it's hard to hold conversations with somebody like that. That's how it works for me. And I think we need to normalize being real because uh I don't like that beating around the bush and all that sort of stuff and missing social cues. If you got a problem with me, tell me. If you need to pull me over to the side and tell me, I had a girl like that at work. I didn't know what was going on with her, but I noticed the pattern in her acting funny with me. I can feel the energy and vibes and stuff. I was like, what the hell wrong with her? Why she acting funny with me? What the hell going on? And see, I was older than her. I was like, I don't know what I did to this child or why this child is acting like this with me, but I'm gonna pull her over to the side and I'm gonna talk to her. And so I pulled over to the side. I was like, wait a minute. I said, sweetie, what is going on between me and you? Because it is a bad vibe, baby. What's going on? And she was like, you said something or did something. And I was like, absolutely not. I said, if I did that, I don't even want to deny your experience with me. I don't even want to do that. If I did that, I sincerely apologize because it was not my intentions, beloved. That was not my intentions. Even though that didn't happen, what she said that was the reason why she was acting funny. Spirit already told me why she was acting funny. Spirit, she thought I was acting funny because I would never go out with them after work. I don't fraternize like that. I just don't. And they were younger than me. And then I don't fraternize like that at work. Especially my thing when I was at work, so many people get caught up in gossip and they're carrying so many spirits and so many traumas. And I don't want that to impact my energy. And it's no disrespect to others. And some people, they'll take offense to that because I separate myself because I see some of that energy jumping off it on y'all and you're not ready to deal with it. And I don't want that impacting my energy. Baby, it's not because I don't like you or anything like that. It is just me. It don't got a damn thing to do with you. So just because you see me taking care of don't take that. That don't have nothing to do with you. It's what I see and what's the best thing for me. And I kind of think that was more of the thing because I wouldn't mesh with them. I wouldn't go to, the little after things they had after work or whatever. And I'm just like, that's just not me, you guys. Even at lunch or whatever, I went to my car, I did my thing, sprayed myself down with Florida water, did my affirmations and go back up in there. Because again, it's a way of life for me. You know what I'm saying? And I think some people can take that personal when you cool staying in your own lane. They can take offense to that. And I think that was more of that was going on than her thinking that I offended her. Although I did apologize because I didn't like that sticky energy that she was, throwing up in there between her and I. Because I'm like, I'm not having this with you. I'm not working with this vibe. So let me go ahead and clear this out. And we was okay after that. But like I said, it was more of her not being comfortable with me meshing with everything that they had going on there. It was more of that than anything that I saw, you know. And you'll have that. And then being that's why I said being a practitioner too, I had to learn to stop trying to be friends with everybody. Stop thinking that I can mesh with anybody because I don't. I had to accept it. I had been trying to fit in so long, trying to be like everybody else, knowing damn well I'm not like that. Like my mind, I work totally different. And you'll see a lot of that masking going on. So after when I start healing and I got comfortable on my spiritual journey, I start unmasking more. And that makes people uncomfortable too. I wasn't no long putting on any masks and trying to mesh with them like that. I'm like, I'm cool in my own lane. Do what you do. I'm just gonna take my butt over here because this is the best thing for me to do. I need to be over here. And sometimes that makes people uncomfortable. And you'll see that on your journey. Like I say, this is a way of life. You can't be sitting around people that's gossiping and got all this stuff going on. Because again, these are spirits they carrying. A lot of people carrying these spirits they don't know. And you don't need that to be jumping off on you. You don't need that. And you don't need that to either because when you get ready to tap into your power, you need to know you ain't wasting none of your power doing what they doing. You ain't used to none of your energy or anything in a negative way that'll stop you doing that work on your table. I'm telling you, got to have some integrity. You can't be messy and on this path. You can't. And it's a good idea to be. I had a man calling me one day. I didn't mind helping him. He called me and he needed some work done. He said he felt like somebody had put something on him. He was working with another worker. I'm gonna tell you what happened to him. He was working with another worker, and this worker was helping him bring in money, and I think she was keeping his wife with him. But the way it was set up, he was making payments to her to keep this work on going. Some kind of way he skipped the payment. You want to pay these. That's why I said when you're doing these work, why even do that and just why not just do your work? Because you got to keep that on going. Some of the people some people you just have to say no to them and just help them heal. But that man needed to be healed. He didn't need that. But she stopped doing the work for him. All hell broke loose. The wife left him. He couldn't, and that he didn't want to tell me to get into much details with that. He said he started looking bad. He was feeling bad. And instantly I started giving him work to do. I said, do this work, do this, and take this bath 3 days in a row. Um, I gave him some scriptures to read. Okay. I gave some scriptures to read. And I said, and call me back. This should do it. If you stay consistent and do it at the times that I've told you to do it. Because it's some workings when you working with those psalms, sometimes it's a time to do them too. Okay, so I gave him the time to do it, and kind of prescribed to him how he should do it. I said, call me back after you've done that and let me know how it goes. And so he calls me back after the time he was done his work. And they say a lot of people, you need to let them do their work. Don't do no work for them. I think a lot of practitioners, they so hungry for money. No, first give them that work. If it don't work, then help them. Sometimes you don't need to help them. They need to help themselves. And if they can't do it, then jump in there and help them. But sometimes I've done that in a reading. I've found myself doing that a lot in the reading. Uh, Honey, I go ahead and get them people some work to do. I would give them some work to do. If they didn't get it done, then call me back and then we'll start getting it. We'll go ahead and start laying out some work to do. But get them people work to do. Let them people do that work themselves before you even start messing with them like that. You don't want to put no mess on your table like that. So anyway, um, he called me back and he said, "Okay, I feel better. My face lightened up. Don't feel depressed no more." He said, "Thank you so much. I appreciate it." I was like, "I didn't do it. You did the work. You did the work. You set the intentions. You did the work." He said, "So now I need you to help me with my wife." And so every time I would ask him details, because you don't just take no work and not ask details, because it can backfire on you, and you'll know if that person is not being forthcoming. The ancestors gonna let you know. Okay, they're gonna let you know. So every time I started asking him about his wife, he couldn't give me no details about what happened, what's the breakdown, why she left. I can't even begin to help you because you can't tell me none of that. And that is a big problem. That's a big red flag to me that I don't need to help you. Oh my gosh. I had a mentor tell me once about another woman that I really wanted to be friends with. She said, "Baby, you just don't rhyme. She's married, had a little lamb, and you're hey diddle diddle." Oh my goodness. So, I told him, I was like, "No." I said, "I don't know. I don't want to mess with that. I refer you to somebody else." Because Spirit kept saying, this man is not being truthful about this wife. He's not disclosing all information about his wife. Don't even think about it. I just referred him to someone else, and I already knew wasn't no worker gonna touch him. I already knew wasn't no worker gonna touch him. They'll help him with that other stuff as far as something on him, but I knew wasn't no worker gonna touch him to help him with that wife. I knew it. I already knew it. That's why I gave him to somebody else, and that worker told me, "Say, no, I ain't working him. I ain't messing with him." I knew he was gonna have a problem with that, but again, he trying to bypass something to get somebody to do something for him that really he need to do some root work for to fix it. But he trying to you meet people like that. So when you become, I don't know how many of you are practitioners or how many of you are wanting to be practitioners. I would love for you to get over there and join me on Patreon so we can really work together and collaborate together. And so you could, grow in your practice and get comfortable with helping people with your healing gifts and helping people with your knowledge. Because that's really what the platform is for. Is to help you uh, tap tap into your own hoodoo, tap into your own conjure, and to stay proficient at it. Okay, it's so much information over there, and it's so many things. Um, I'm so excited about that we can talk openly about over there on Patreon. Again, because a lot of this stuff I can't divulge. I can't divulge. I see so many people trying to get me to divulge stuff, and I'm like, "Are you crazy?" This is a closed practice for a reason. I cannot tell you that. And I don't want to get the ancestors upset who to sit here and, protected this stuff, you know, hiding it and girl, no, I can't share it with you right here on this thing, but if you get over there I will. I'm not trying to gatekeep, but I can't just be out here just on YouTube and on TikTok telling all my ancestors' business like that. Really? No, why would you want me to do it? Trips me out when people actually want me to do that and they look just like me. And I'm just like, look, you can't even say that you don't want to take the class or whatever, it's too expensive because I got a platform where it's not expensive. You can learn about your ancestor spiritual practices at an affordable rate and all the information and resources over there. And then they've given you me. So I am here to transfer any information and share anything with you that I can to help you on your path. That's why they put me here. They put me here to share the information. I can't take it, I can't take it with me. I have to transfer it. I have to give it to you. Since of me keeping it, I want to give it to you. I ain't trying to gatekeep. I want to give it to you, but you got to be in a private space for me to share it with you. But it's not that the people don't want to go in the space. It's because they don't want to learn. They want to sit their ass down and do the root work. They don't want to do their work. They want something to be handed to them. Are you crazy? All that work your ancestors had to do and tap into they magic and all that. And you want somebody to hand something to you and you don't understand the context of it. And then you be wondering why you all crossed up and you done lost your mind. Your kids don't want to be bothered with you. You just a hot mess, but you messing with something that you didn't even sit down to take the time to learn about because you wanted to do what you wanted to do. Okay, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna be sitting up here showing you stuff and you don't even understand the basic ethics. You don't have any ethics, respect, or self mastery. I'm not gonna be fooling with you like that. And if a person is a real, they have any ethics and they rooted in their hoodoo practice, they not gonna do it with you either. That's exactly why I told that man, no, I'm not. No, I've had women to come to me. Can you do a love spell? Definitely not. You're gonna get yourself messed up. You're gonna get yourself crossed up. You're gonna lose all your dignity and respect because you kind of trying to do this love spell. But really, you probably need to do a follow me. You probably need to do, some Jezebel work on him. You probably need to dominate him, but you definitely don't need to be putting no love spell on him. Probably want to go with something a little lighter. You definitely don't want to get caught up in that. You want to be able to release yourself from that when you want to. And that may be if in the love spell. I don't know if y'all been watching these ID channels, because some of these men be so upset, they be hurting these women. And you down and these women want to do love spells. I be like, what the hell wrong with you? Why don't you fix him? It'd be better than just to fix him or to feed him. You know, it'd be better to do that. That's what some of our great mothers had to do sometimes. That's why when you see women did had to do they doing that fixing, they doing that domination. This is why a lot of this came because women didn't have many rights then. You understand me? That patriarchy, that men was they bread and butter. So a lot of these women, they did domination. It was a reason. I do believe that there's a reason our ancestors did those things and they come in handy. So sometimes you have to do some domination work when you got to get somebody in line and they acting a damn fool. Yeah, let me get you right. Because you need to find out where you need to be and sit your ass. You sometimes it come in handy. That work is we have that work for a reason. Okay, we didn't have no attorneys and stuff like that. We didn't have how to know rights, especially women of color. And a lot of us depending on our husbands and some, A lot of our ancestors depending on their husbands, and sometimes their husband weren't good husbands. I look at the relationship my grandma had my grandpa, and I looked at my grandpa in a whole different light. I said, that man was a damn rascal. Oh, grandma. I mean, I looked at my grandpa in a whole different light when I started listening to my grandmother's experience she had with him. I was like, what the hell? You got 10 kids by this man, he acting a damn fool like this? Yeah. She had 10 children by him. He acted a damn fool. So you'll be surprised what your grandmothers are hiding. That's why I couldn't again. And then you didn't have no domestic violence shelter, nothing like that. When these men was beating these women, you had to go to some type of country person or root worker to get that man in line so he wouldn't do nothing to you. So sometimes you had to have them men fixed like that because these men was hurting these women, and there was no law to protect women. So you had that stuff coming in handy too. So it sometimes you need to do some domination work. I'm not gonna say you don't need to do. Sometimes people need to be on that altar and let them spirits get them. Sometimes. I'm not gonna say, and I never really had to do a lot of that because I try to stay close to the spirit and let them kind of lead me or how I should handle things. But uh, you know, but I can tell you, I'm not saying that you might not ever face that. You might have a client to come in there and her husband is some kind of rascal and hurt her and did something to her, did all kinds of things to her, and it just breaks your heart. It just breaks your heart. You can't. It makes you so upset. You just like, hell no, we gonna put him on that altar and stretch his ass out. And you got clients like that, just break your heart. You got to get some justice for them. You got to work it out in a way you can let them leave away from you and not help them get some justice. And you'll have that. The ancestors will move you, be like, ancestors will move you to be like, nah, you're gonna have to do this work. We're gonna need you to do this. And they'll tell you how to do the work. They'll tell you what kind of conjure to do it. You know. And a lot of people think, that root work can't be fire either. But honey, you stay on that light side of root work. You work with some of them angels. You got some of them angels, baby. They will put in that work. You got some angels that will put in some work for you. Again, if you know how to call them, if you know how to invoke them, you know how to work that altar. You know how to call down the spirit. You know what I'm saying? You got some angels that are going to do some work for you that would tear some stuff up, that will whoop them and get them back into place. So that root work on the light side, it can be effective too. You and it can even get, which I'm not gonna get too much into this. I'll just briefly talk about it. But you'll see that with the saints too. You got some saints. You'll see that on the root worker side. I think too. You start really, it gets interchangeable when you start working with some of the saints and some of the angels, because it'll kind of look like conjure. But like I tell you, conjure can go way deeper. But you got some saints and you got some angels that will whoop a person back into shape. And I'm telling you, I had this lady uh at my job, honey. That lady was messing with me and she was giving me a hard time. And she liked it this man. What it was, she liked it this man that liked me, but I didn't like him because that man was married. I never understood that about some of the women that liked him. I was like, I don't like him. He like me, but he married. I don't want that man. I don't think y'all getting this. You know. So, honey, that lady, she pulled in my bus stop because I drove a school bus. She pulled in my lot in my parking spot just after they told us do not do that. Don't pull in nobody lot in a parking spot. There's been a wonder tip about work with angel. I do a record work with them. That you need to be as close as work with them as much as possible. And I say this too. The more you work with angels, I know you ain't a lot of y'all ain't gonna believe me. But when you start to see it on your table and you start working with your ancestors more, you're not going to be able to tell the difference between angels and ancestors. And that's the truth. You got some ancestors' energy is so bright and so strong that it's like an angel. You cannot tell the difference. They're so elevated and so strong and so bright, you can't tell the difference between them and an angel. Don't dismiss the ancestors either, because they can put in some work too. I've seen it. I've seen it with my own eyes. But this lady, she parked in my bus spot, and I almost had a wreck. And she was, I didn't say nothing to her, but she was laughing about it because she saw me when I came in there and I checked in, and she was smiling and snarkling about it. And I was talking to my mama on the phone about it. I said, she did this on purpose. I said, I'm not going to even give her any energy and try to check her about it, but she knows she wasn't supposed to park there. So after she see me driving, after she see me getting back to my bus, then she decides to she decides to get on her bus and leave. And I was talking to my mom on the phone, and I looked around, honey. That woman had fell down. I don't know how that woman fell on all those rocks, but that woman fell on all those rocks, and she ended up breaking her ankle. And I said, "Oh my God!" And I started to go help her, and something would let say, "Oh no, you go get your ass on that bus. You get your ass on the bus." And so I got on the bus, and I started telling my mom about it, and my mom said, "Ain't want nobody." My mama said, "Ain't nobody. It wasn't nobody but the angel of the Lord that struck her ass down because she knew she had no business messing with you. You ain't even bothering her. You ain't studying that woman, and that's what she got. Ain't nobody, yeah." And I bet she's wondering now how the hell she got on that ground. I don't know how that woman got on that ground. I don't know how she fell on that ground, but that woman was laid out on the ground. Uh, Ankle was twisted, and I wanted to help her. And spirit said, "No, you go. You get on that bus. You get on that bus and go." And the thing about that too, it takes a lot of consistency. If you want to build up your relationship working with angels and ancestors, you got to be consistent. You got to be consistent. You got to be on that altar consistent. You have some people, they got an altar up, it's just for decoration. They ain't putting no work there. They ain't not sitting there. They not doing nothing there. They ain't being genuine. They ain't got nothing going on. They ain't practicing their rituals, which I get more into that. I wish I can share more here. I wish I was wish I was on the I wish he was in Patreon so I could just tell y'all everything. But when you get more consistent, because I want you to be good at it. I wish I would have had this sort of support, and because most people today they act like they want to share the information, but they actually gatekeeping, or they price gouging so much it's damn near like gatekeeping. Hey, Cal saying, they gatekeeping so damn much, they price gouging so much. I'm sorry, it's like they gatekeeping. You got that too. You don't want to, I've seen them like that. I'm like, damn. I look at some of these people's price. I'm like, damn, that they want to learn, but how the hell they gonna? They're just like uh. I feel like it's the same thing that you see over there with Ifa, and they tell you it's a closed practice. I talked about this. I'm gonna talk about it again because it pisses me off every time I think about them when they be doing this stuff with voodoo and Ifa. I talk about this, sir. It don't make no difference to me. They trip me out. It's a closed practice. You can't talk to Oshun, and you can't talk to da 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 if you ain't been initiated. I said, y'all sound just like the colonizer. You know what I'm saying? But yet it trips me out how you will tell me that Y'all tell me that you look just like me, and y'all go initiate these people that don't look like me. These palm color people. It trust me, you are if they got the money, you initiate them. And for hoodoo for us, here we is fighting with every tooth and nail to keep it closed so the palm color people can't get their hands on it. And here y'all is initiating the palm color people into voodoo and into Ifa. Make it make sense. So when you telling me that I can't do something because I initiated, y'all sound just like the colonizer. That's why I'll forever love hoodoo. Don't tell me what I can't do. That's why I love hoodoo. You can't tell me what I can't do over here, baby, because we makes it jump over here. And don't I kind of feel like y'all be getting mad at us too because we can go so many different directions with hoodoo. It makes y'all mad because we don't have to pay all that damn money that you pay because you got initiated. I said what I said. Because it just don't be making no sense to me. When I start seeing those people, they know the rituals, y'all. They know the rituals. They teaching palm color people. When you go look in those ATRs, they're gonna be filled with a lot of palm color people. They represent them ATRs hard. That pissed me off about them because I feel like that's a slap in the face to the ancestors. What the? Because I'm hoodoo. Remember, we protecting this from them with everything we got, and here y'all is letting them in. And then when we start doing our little practice, because we hoodoo, so our practice is a lot more vaster, which you'll learn about that. That's why when I tell them when they and I'm pretty sure they probably feel a little ticked off at me because when I tell them I can practice voodoo through the way of the ancestors. Don't tell me what I can't do. It's all ancestral. Don't you forget that. They can't when you tell them that they can't argue with you on that. They can't say shit. When you tell them that, I can work when if I'm working with my ancestors, by way through my ancestors, I can do voodoo. I can do Ifa because all of it's ancestral centered. They have to shut up when you say that because they know you ain't lying. They know you ain't lying. They have to shut up. Some of them have to shut up. When you let them know, that's letting them know you know what it's about, that you're doing your work. You know what it's about. You know that you can't do nothing without your ancestors. Don't nothing move, don't nothing swing, don't nothing do nothing if you ain't got your ancestors with you, and they know that. And most of them will shut up when you tell them that. But if they see you just out there trying to mess with Oshun and all that stuff, they're gonna assume that you don't know anything. They know that you don't know nothing because if you knew something, you wouldn't be talking about Oshun like that. Not not in that way, talking about you finna erect the altar and all that you and initiate it. So they know that you don't know. But if you're having a conversation with them, you're rooted in your hoodoo practice and you rooted in your ancestral magic, and your ancestors is leading you to work with certain deities. See, they can't defy once the ancestors said it's over. It's nothing to argue about. If my ancestors told me to do this, evidently that's what I'm supposed to be doing. So they can't argue with that. You can't because it's ancestral. I've seen hoodoo that goes into Hinduism. I've seen hoodoo that goes into Buddhism. I've seen hoodoo run into voodoo deities. Do you hear me? You go and say if you go to a hoodoo practitioner that's really rooted in it, and you go in and see some of their altars, ain't no telling what type of altars you gonna see in it because it's conjure as well. That they can't argue with you when you start talking about your ancestors with them ATRs. They start shutting up. That a lot of them just start because they know what it is. You can't even talk to Oshun without the ancestors, so be quiet. You can't even practice Ifa without the ancestors, so be quiet. You can't even practice voodoo without the ancestors, so be quiet. I never said that I didn't know who my ancestors was. I never said that. I'm saying I can do it because my ancestors told me to through the way of my ancestors. That's why ancestor veneration is so important for you start jumping off, doing stuff, touching stuff, you know. Ask them first. That's like going to the elders. You got to ask the elders first. You got to ask for permission first. You know, they trip me out with that. But I try I shut them up real quick when I start talking about the ancestors, real quick. Because they know that's the power where it is. You're not going to be messing with Ifa. You're not going to be messing with Ogun. You're not going to be messing with Oshun. You're not going to be messing with Elegba. You're not going to be messing with any of those deities without the ancestors. I don't give a damn what you're talking about. It's nowhere around it. Most of them will be quiet when you start talking about the ancestors because they're not gonna mess with that. They'll probably fight you if they know you messing with something and you know you ain't got yourself together. You ain't grounded in your ancestors. You just saying something. They probably gonna mess with you. But when you start breaking down and you know your stuff by way through the ancestors, most of them gonna brag back on off of you. They're not gonna tell you. They're gonna be quiet about the initiation stuff. They're gonna go on about their business. They're gonna go on about their business. They're gonna go on about their business. They you can't win that. You just can't. Especially when you grounded in your practice and a lot of them too. We're just trying to, we're just trying to protect you. You know, a lot of them say it because they trying to protect you. But sometimes to me, they just going overboard overboard with it with me because you need to explain why they can't do it. Stop hollering that they got to be initiated. You need to sit down and explain to them because they have lost, a lot of us have lost connection with our spiritual practice. Instead of you sitting up telling us what we can't do, sit down and explain the right way it would be for us to do it. Because when you're doing that, you sound like it's hands off for us. You know what I'm saying? And it's not like that. They need to really sit down and explain that to us when they're telling us, when they shouting out like that. And you know does anybody have any questions for me in the chat? And again, if you're interested we got the platform here. The link is in the bio. If you're interested in joining us on Patreon, you're interested in a community that can share openly, where you can connect with your ancestors and get rooted in your practices, get over there. I want to see you I want to see you excel. I want to you to learn. I'm gonna teach you as much as I can and share as much as with you as I can. If you're a practitioner and you just want a community, get over there. They need you. We need you. Get over there and help some people. Start sharing some of your stuff over there. Um, just to have a community with each other. And possibly do work together. I would love to do some collective work together, especially some collective ancestral work together. That's very powerful. So get over there if you're interested in that. Any questions? Get over there if you're interested in that. What else? I have an ancestral healing workshop coming up. So if you're needing to do some self mastery, some shadow work, there's a lot of tools that are going to be given in that information, given in that workshop that you're going to be able to take with you and constantly refine yourself with the way the structure is set up over there. It's a 2-day workshop. Again, only $20. I'm glad I live in Thailand because it's so affordable and I can show up for um you guys in a way where you can get what you need. I don't have to price gouge like that. Oh my god. I don't have to price gouge like that. But get over there if you're interested in ancestral healing workshop. Check that out. I've posted it in the community. If you're interested in the Hoodoo Patreon community, you want to learn more, there's 3 tiers over there. There's a $5 tier, there's a $10 tier, and a $20 tier. I think the $10 and $15 tier comes with workshops where we do collective workshops together where I show you different things. I'll be showing you how to work an altar, you know, this is good. That's quality because some people you don't know how to work an altar. You don't know how to use your almanac. You don't, and these things are important. So I'll show you something that way you can elevate your altar practices. Uh, you'll really know how to tap into that energy on your altar. So that's that. Like a lot of good stuff gonna be going on over there if you get over there, and I'm so excited to be working with you guys and showing you guys. I want to show you, like I do. I can't wait to show you because I can't show you over here, but I want to show you over there. You know how much it takes for me to keep all this information and not share it here because I'd be like, I can't do it. I can't do it. I get in trouble. I can't do it. But get over there and do that. But do you guys have any questions for me so far? About your work, about healing. Um, I know I've shared a lot of things about my hoodoo journey. The ancestors have really been working with me, especially since I've been in Thailand. My dreams just be kicking up, you guys. Like I don't know, these dreams be something else. They be so surreal. Especially when I get over here and everything I dreamed about, I'm looking at right there. It's so crazy. It's so crazy. Like the ancestors is so real. That's the only thing I can say. I be like, oh my gosh, it's so real. Especially when it's a great feeling when you connect with your ancestors like that, and they're in your dreams. You feel them with you, and you're carrying them with. It's just it's such a great feeling to be in alignment with that. Yeah. And what's so crazy is I dreamed about it before I came over here. That tripped me out. That tripped me out when I was walking down the street when I finally made it to Thailand and I was walking down the street. The way it does my brain. And I felt like I was in my dream again when I was walking down the street. I was like, oh my God, this is in my dream. All this shit was in my dream. Oh my God. Like, but my thing with that, when they be showing me something and I ask them to tell me something, could they give me some narrate? I need some narrating going on when they showing me the dream. I need to know why y'all showing me the dream. You know what I'm saying? I wish it catch up like I wish it be catching up like that. Oh, that's awesome. Psychic medium Rebecca K. Uh, I wish I guess that's what I would say. Keep working with your ancestors. Keep working with them and get more clarity on it. I would keep working with them. But yeah, it trips me out because, man, it trips me out. I've had more of those moments here in Thailand because it's just like, oh my gosh, I can't even put it into words. It's like my psychic energy has heightened. Um, my intuitive abilities is heightened. Sometimes I can sit there. It's a trip how I can sit there and have a conversation with the ancestors sometime, with spirits sometime. That clairaudience, and even scarier is the claircognizant when I know something and I can't explain it. It's the scariest shit to me. I don't care. People say, "Oh, it's so cool. You got clairaudience. You got try having claircognizant." And I still can't get used to it because when I'm doing tarot readings, these answers just pop in your head out of nowhere. And you can absolutely cannot explain that. That is the scariest, you know. I'm not saying that I'm not grateful for it, you know what I'm saying? But it is the craziest, scariest shit because I'm just like, how the hell that pop in my mind like that? It like comes out of nowhere. And I'm just like, whoa, like, how did you get, how did, how, how did that get in my mind like that? And that's usually, yeah, audience is a whole bunch. And I get that I used to get that. I'll get that too when the spirits start talking to me about people, but I've learned to ignore that too. Because sometimes they be telling, spirit can be messy. Spirit be start telling you about people business. I be like, I don't want to know that. I don't want to know that. I'll get that too with certain people. Some of my ancestors or some of my spirit guides, they'll get chatty and start telling me people business. I'll be like, I don't want to know. I don't want. Why are you telling me these people business? I've had that. Yeah. I be like, I'm out of my business. I'm not. Y'all is messy. Now some of them can be messy. They'll just start being chatty with you and telling you people business. They have did that to me too, where before a person book appointment with me, they'll start telling me people business. She gonna get ready to book appointment with you, right? Yeah, because such and such and such is going on. I'm just like, oh my God, I don't want to know their business. I don't want to know their business. I don't want to know. She might not even book appointment with you. Oh, she gonna book it. She gonna book it. And it never fails. So when they book the appointment, it be for the very thing that the spirits is telling me about. I be like, damn, these spirits. And you don't be wanting to know sometimes. You do not be wanting to know. You be like, oh my God, I'm telling you, don't be wanting to know. People be thinking you want to know their business. I don't. Sometimes I just be don't. It's enough. I tell people it's enough just dealing with me every day. I don't got time to think about nobody else. I'm so much by myself. This is a lot going on here. Just maintaining me. Voodoo guy and grandparents talk crap on my mom. What voodoo guy? What voodoo guy? So you'll see, I think, but like I said, the scariest thing to me, I never can get used to it. Grateful for it, because sometimes it shocks some of my clients when they come in. When it happens, they be like, "How did you know that?" I said, it wasn't me." Sometimes they say, "How did you know that?" I'm like, "It wasn't me. It wasn't me. I didn't know it. They told me. I didn't know it. It just they put it in here and it came out here." You know, sometimes I feel like I'm just being a tool. It's almost like somebody drops something in the bucket and then pushes it at your mouth. That's how it be to me. I be like, damn, you know, wait a minute. What's happening here? Why, I never can get used to it. I'm just as in awe as the people I help when it happens. When it does happen, I'm just as shocked as the other person when it does happen. And I think now it's the dreams. It's the dreams now because I don't even know how to explain it. Because when it's so surreal, it's almost like I'm back in the dream again. When I see that the dream has come to pass, it's almost like I warp back into the dream again. Do that make sense? Like it becomes so much clearer. It's like I'm walking back in the dream again. And it's confusing to me because I'm like, damn, I don't know the difference between this world or the dream world. That's what be scary to me. I'm like, damn, is this real? You know, that that's the feeling be coming over me. But I'm like, damn, I don't know the difference in this dream world because the dream world it seems so real, especially when it come to pass. So it, it kind of deorients me because I'm just like, damn, is this real or is that I'm in my dream again? Okay, I left out money and asked my ancestors to come in my dream. There's a trick to really getting your dreams kicked up with your ancestors, and I talk about that too because I want you guys to know that a lot of people, they got their ancestors out to, but the relationship with their ancestor is not as close as they want it to be, and um, they really need to get that altar going. They need to get that ashe and be able to call down them ancestors on that altar. And so my thing with that is I give you a lot of techniques in there because again, it's all in here. We want them to get in here. Want them to get in here. That's what this is all about. Okay. That's what removing a lot of that trauma is about, doing that ancestral healing trauma. We getting this out. All the blocks that's in here, we're gonna move them out the way so we can get those ancestors coming in clear. And so I talk about that over there in Patreon to really get that clear for you. But again, it's you can give your ancestors money, but the more consistent that you can be on that altar, the better off you're gonna be. The more time that's how it is. That's the investment. Because you're building ashe every time you go to that altar. You're building up ashe every time you go to that altar. It's being able to go there consistent. Some people think it's good enough to go for 1 month, but for me, I saw bigger changes when I went there once a week. And you'll be like that in hoodoo. You get deep in your hoodoo practices. You might have 4 or 5 altars. See, you ain't gonna have no time for nobody else when you start. That's why you don't got time to be gossiping and being up each other's stuff because you be working them altars. You don't have time for that. You too busy doing altar work. You too busy fasting because sometimes you have to do some fasting. I did a lot of fasting too. You want to, you might have days where you just drink nothing but herbal tea and you do your fast and you drink your tea. You decide you're gonna do some fasting. That's building up your ashe too. So it's so many ways that you can build up your ashe. And again, I talk about that more. I can go into more details and pay on Patreon and give you more options in doing that. You know. But again, your ancestors want your time more than anything. You do yourself a disservice to go to the ancestors out to you. The water is all cloudy and you ain't changed the flowers. Your ancestors altar, you'll see the longer you have it, the more elaborate you gonna make it. The more sweeter you're gonna make it. You know what I'm saying? You see some of the hoodoo workers, they got these big old shrines and altars. That's that power behind because it's so the relation gets more and more intimate. You'll be wanting to elaborate the altar more. And the more elaborate, the more time you spend on there, the more intimate your relationship get with your ancestors. You find yourself when I had my altar, I'm trying to get it back together. It's taking some while out, but my ancestor said you need to go ahead and get you a altar is better than no altar. I don't care how it look. You need to have you one up. It's gonna work. You just need it to work. But when I had my altar back home, I mean, it was it was so sweet. It was sweet. I kept it kept adding to it, adorning it. I kept adorning. And your ancestors love that. They love when you put flowers on there. They love when you uh put desserts on there and coffee on there. They love when you sit down and talk to them. They love when, and I had a thing I did too. I love reading certain scriptures to them. I would read scriptures to them. Then I would sing, gospel. They love that. They love that. You're deepening your relationship with them, and you can feel a closeness that happens every time you get to the altar. You these positive vibes will come over you. You'll feel it if you stay consistent at that altar. But if you ain't spending time there and you just using it as a flyby type thing, you ain't doing nothing. You need to get on that altar. There's no way I could be without an altar. I remember my daughter when we first moved here to Thailand. That's the first, and I wasn't even thinking about the altar. I was gonna put it up, but I don't know what happened. She said, "Mom, you need to put your altar up." She said, "You need to put your altar back up and start lighting these candles and stuff." I said, "Oh my God, my ancestors is talking through my daughter, you know." And soon as I got it put up, them ancestors start flowing in, you know. And it's just a little small altar. It ain't much on there. It ain't much, you know. But like I say, our ancestors work with anything, and it's hot. It was hot soon as I put it up. But see, I carry my ancestors with me. So as soon as I put, you know, put the coffee on there and start lighting the candle and burn a little incense, it was hot. They start just coming through. So you need an altar. At some point you'll have to erect one. I don't see a way you can get deep, get rooted in your practice without one. You'll find yourself. I saw one girl say she got 11 of them. I said, "Damn, that's a lot of work. That is a lot of work." I don't, you know, that is a lot of work because I know for me, I had one, two, three, four. I had about four. I had about four. So and then sometimes I would move stuff on the side of my dresser and make an emergency altar because I wanna do some work, some more kind of work. But I put it on my dresser. I find myself trying to make another altar, for something else. Uh, but you'll find yourself erecting altars for different purposes. But I know for sure you would. The ancestor altar is not made for any work. It's a service altar. It's in service of them. So you won't really be doing any work from an ancestor altar. You that's a service that's in service of them. You know, that's a portal for them. So you won't, at some point you won't be doing a lot of work on that altar. Okay. Any questions for me before I end the live? Thank you so much, everybody, for coming here, engaging. I appreciate every last one of you guys, all your support. I wanted to give you an update, let you know I'm in Thailand. Uh, Everything is going well. Let you know that I'm able to really show up for you guys and support you in any way that I can, the way you support me. Uh, and let you know the updates, what we got going on, you know. Okay. Any questions before I close the live, beloveds? Fasting, thank you, Cole, for that question. Fasting, it gives you discipline. It helps you become more disciplined, and it helps you focus. Okay, the body is clean. You're cleansing the body, and it helps you get disciplined about your work. Okay, it puts power on your intentions. That's you know that's what it done for me. It elevated me too, because I want to say during this time when I was doing a lot of fasting on that altar, that's when I started my psychic. Now I'm glad you asked that question because I had now have to reflect. It started kicking up more dreams. The psychic energy heightened. My psychic energy began to heighten more. So that's what fasting does. Your psychic energy is going to heighten more. Okay, because you're doing a lot of clearing out and it disciplines you. It helps you master yourself, and this is what this is all about too. So when you go in and do a certain kind of work, you'll be able to tap uh in different frequencies faster. You'll be able to go ahead and tap in that high frequency higher. I mean faster. It won't take you a while to do it. You'll be able to tap into it faster. So again, it helps you be able to access your psychic energy uh, with ease. I'm gonna say it like that, with ease. That fasting, it really does help it discipline you. See, a lot of people miss out on that, and a lot of people say, "Oh, I have to." I'm not saying that. You need to look at how you're looking at fasting. Okay, drink you some herbal tea when you're going through this fasting thing. You'll find yourself, you won't even be hungry if you're drinking that herbal tea. Depends on the herb. My herbs that I like drinking, I like lavender. I like drinking lavender. You have that lavender tea, chamomile. What is another one? It's chamomile, not the black tea. I can't even think of it now. But it's definitely gonna be lavender tea, chamomile. I'm gonna be drinking those things uh, while I'm on my fast. Okay, that in your case, sometimes it's like that. You are not able to have an altar. You know, you're not able to have an altar. That's perfectly fine. But if you're going out and you're going out in nature and you got a space out somewhere, or you have a time, a meditation practice where you are speaking with your ancestors, sometimes that's fine as well. But I assure you, once you get to a space where you can get one, you're gonna want one. I did. I did. Like, you know, it could be me. I could be, I might be my ancestors' titty baby. Cause I sometimes I stay at that altar. I be at my altar. I think I'm just gonna be at that altar for 20 minutes. I'd have been at the altar for 3 hours. I just been getting on their damn nerves. I've been talking to them about everything. I just be I be at everything, I'm getting everything out. You know what I'm saying? I'm getting on their nerves. That's me. I think it's fine. It sounds like that. That's fine. What not spiritual call on ritual? Can you say that again? Cosan? I don't. Maybe I'm not reading that right. Understand that right? With not spiritual call on ritual. With no spiritual call or ritual. I see nothing wrong with that. Because again, I'm not gonna tell you how to talk to your ancestors. That ain't none of my business. If that works for you, that works for you. Apparently, you're clairaudient and they're able to speak with you internally. That's what when you tell me that, what I'm hearing you say to me is that your ancestors speak to you clairaudiently and internally. That's what I'm hearing there. I don't see anything wrong with that. But I also think too, we want to honor them and let them know that we know that you are here. We know that you are speaking to us, and it is very polite. It's just respectful to be able to pour out a libations um, for appreciation and to let them know that you hear them. And if I can recommend anything, it would be that. If you can go out, you probably don't have an altar, but you can go out in nature and pour out, their favorite libation and let them know. And just that little, just doing a libation like that, that can, improve your communication even more. Just little things like that. Sometimes it's little things like that, fasting and little things like that, that can improve your your communication with your ancestors. But again, I'm always thinking about giving them something because they gave so much. You know, I'm gonna be putting. That's like the other day. I've been here in Thailand, and I got this altar set up. And every time it was on my mind, you need to put some coffee on that altar. You need to put some coffee. You ain't gave them nothing since you've been here. You ain't put no coffee on that altar. You got to at least put some coffee on that altar. Put some I mean, every time it was just in my mind. My spirit guys, every time it went, and then I went to the store and said, get the coffee to put on the altar. I have to get on the altar. And I was like, oh, I don't got me a cup. Yes, you got a cup. It don't matter. You got to use what you got. Put that coffee in this cup and put it on that altar. And so I felt a lot better when I did it because I knew it was the ancestors was wanting that. And I was needing to put that on my altar, you know. And again, I want them to keep moving. I want them to keep moving on my behalf. I want them to have the energy that they need to move on my behalf. So yeah, you know, want that communication to keep flowing. You want them to show up. So if you want to keep them strengthened, make sure you're offering them something as well as, it can be coffee, it can be liquor, it can be water. But you want them to continue, you want them to be strengthened and keep working in your life. Definitely that. Just do a libation. That's a beautiful ritual. Just doing that, offering them a libation. Libations are very powerful, even in our tradition. Okay, because a lot of our ancestors they couldn't erect altars, and they took advantage of doing libation rituals. And there's a lot of beautiful libation rituals that you can do and keep it on the DL. That I have did like I have put ancestors money on my altar, and what usually happens with that money is I end up spending it on them, buying them liquor, buying them tobacco, buying them snuff, because they like tobacco, they like snuff, cigars, liquor, flowers. If I put money on that altar, I'm usually going to use that money for what they want. I ask them what they want. They'll tell you too. Sometimes you want to ask them what they want, because I did that one time. I think I told y'all this story, but I did that one time. I was working with my ancestors, and I was like, okay, we do this right here, ancestors. I'm gonna give you what you want or whatever. And I can remember being in the car, and I was like, ancestors, what y'all want to eat? Do you want some neck bones? You want some greens? You want some beans? And I mentioned something, and all of a sudden I can smell sandalwood. But the incense I burn on the altar, because that's usually the incense I burn on my ancestors' altars, is sandalwood. I started smelling sandalwood in the car. I was like, oh my God. Oh my, is that what you want? You want me to fix that? You want me to fix that's what you want to eat. So they will communicate you in all kind of ways. You'll have phantom smells as well. They've did that to me. I'm like, oh my gosh, like it tripped me out when they did it because I'm like, there is no incense in this car, and I am straight smelling sandalwood. Like I'm at my altar. I have burned ancestors' money with them. Uh, I have kind of mixed feelings about ancestors' money because of the time I spend on altars. I think the most sweetest interaction I've had with them is spending time with them and doing prayer work. Doing elevation work is very you can send that money over there, which is perfectly fine. But I seem to get I seem to feel more of a pleasure that they feel when I am doing when we're doing the gospel, when I'm playing their music, when I'm praying to them. reading scripture to them, I feel more elevated. I'm feeling like that because I know that's them. When I'm feeling elevated in my spirit, I know that's them. I know that's them. So seem like that seems to be more pleasing and satisfying than the ancestors' money. Ancestor money is fine if that's what you want to do. I'm just talking about my experience. But you can send it over there. That's basically what you're doing is sending it over there on the other side. Honey biscuits. That's probably an old recipe. You probably want to check into that. And that food stuff be a really big deal to them. Like when they be wanting stuff and they be wanting you to fix stuff, that stuff be a really big deal to them. Especially and if you can't fix it and you can't get, you need to tell them and let them know. Like if you know you're gonna miss a day of working on that altar and you're gonna be out that day, you need to go to that altar and be like, hey, I got this going on. I'm so sorry. I'll be able to do this the next day and I'll do it this day and I will sit with y'all this day. Don't don't just dismiss them and be like I'm just gonna go to the altar and let them know what you got going on. You know what I'm saying? Include them because they live in the house with you. That's how I treat them. I don't treat them like they pass. I treat them just like I'm hitting, sitting here talking to you. I go to the altar, be like, I'm so sorry. I ain't again. I'm respecting my elders. I don't want to assume they know. No, because this is a whole relationship. Okay, I'm gonna go there and be like, hey, I got this going on, you guys. So I'm gonna um I'm gonna come here this day, and I promise I'm gonna give you this, and we're gonna sit down and chat and everything. I'm so sorry that I can't sit here now. Please forgive me. I mean, I talk to them. It's respect, and they understand. So you know, again, you want to deepen your relationship with them, have respect for them, treat them with common courtesy. You know, and they got you. You know what I'm saying? But you have to acknowledge them. You know, some people got these altars up and they just dwindling. You know what I'm saying? Ain't no fighter, ain't nothing going on there. And some of it is probably not their fault. They just don't know. They have not they have not been educated on how to work an altar and what they should be doing on there. And then you'll find yourself doing ritual and ceremony with your ancestors as well. That's going to be very important in access and ashe. And I'm not gonna talk about it here again. Ain't gonna talk about it here, because we'll have to go into the cosmology of things and how to uh, how to cast a circle. You know, what are your methods on casting a circle? What works for you? Learning, kind of talking more about the cosmology while we go in certain directions when we're doing work. So all of those things are important when you're learning your altar work, which I want you to know, you know. Um, so if you get over there in Patreon, we'll talk about all that good stuff, and you'll be surprised how your spiritual practice is gonna elevate. Because I'm gonna give you stuff I know that work. I'm not gonna give you no. Yes, we'll read books to give you a general idea, a structure of how you can deepen your spiritual practice with your ancestors. But I'm also gonna give you stuff that work. Okay. And then I'm gonna let you choose from there because I don't tell anybody what to do. I'm just a mentor. I'm just basically a mentor. And I'm gonna speak to you from experience. Okay. Yeah, I can read books all day long, but the only thing I can tell you to pass on wisdom, I can tell you what my experience. That's where the real wisdom comes from. Real wisdom is not gonna come from a book. It's gonna come from the elder or somebody else passing the wisdom on to you, passing on the experience, because that's how hoodoo was passed on to us. Have you heard of family constellations? I don't think I've heard of that before. I've never heard of that before. This is the first time I'm hearing anything about a family constellation, which we do talk about When we start looking at the almanac and looking at astrology, that's going to come in handy when you start doing your conjure. Have you heard of family constellation? I don't know what that is. Mm, mm. I don't know. When I hear you saying that, saying, I think of shadow work. I think of ancestral healing because that's basically what I'm doing in my workshop. And I wrote a book about doing ancestral healing work because basically what shadow work is ancestral work. It helps you move out trauma. And so I wrote a book, I have all sorts of workshops in there to help you, identify trauma, move it out the generational line, and keep it out the generational line. So when I hear you say that, the only thing I can think of is shadow work, ancestral work. That's what ancestral work is. So when I hear you saying that family constellation, what I see is shadow work. I don't know where that term comes from, but when you see that, and then you say it's powerful healing, Kosan said it's powerful healing modality for family dysfunction. Again, again, I, this is my mind. It's my hoodoo mind, my artistic mind. When you say that, I think of shadow work. That's how I break it down. That's how I break it down. So that's what I'm hearing, and that's what I have a workshop that's coming up. That's coming up on June 21st and June 22nd. It's going to be very powerful. Anyone that's been following my channel and you've heard my ancestral meditations, and I only thing I can say, I did some of them I did not make. It was clearly the ancestors doing that. Is some of these meditations, especially the one is ancestral alignment, that meditation right there, I go back as it's got over 100,000 views. It's got so many views on it. So many, people have been blessed with that meditation because the ancestors made that. And when you go back and listen to it, it doesn't even sound like me. Go back and look at that. So meditation, shamanism is very powerful. It's very powerful meditation work. Okay, shamanism is very, and you can dismiss it because I remember when I first got into this, I used to do a lot of moderating meditation. When I first got into metaphysics, I used to be a meditation instructor, and that's one of my gifts too. I know how to go into the other realm. Some kind of way, the way you go back and listen to my meditations because I know how to go into the other realm. I know how to go to the other side. And that's going to be important when you're communicating with your ancestors. So I do know how to take you through some powerful visualization meditations to help you connect with your ancestors. And that's part of our spiritual practices too, being able to do that shamanic work. It could be, girl. The ancestors, I'm telling the ancestors can reach you from anywhere, from anybody, through anything. I'm telling you. I'm telling you right now, your ancestors get you. Praise be the ancestors. That's the only thing I can say. They can reach you from anybody, from anywhere, through anybody, anytime, anywhere. It doesn't matter. They can reach you. They can reach you. I don't put nothing past the ancestors. I do not. I went down here and every time I see these altars in Thailand, and they remind me so much of the hoodoo, voodoo, and Ifa altars. And they've been practicing this before. This is pre-Buddhism, so you can see. I'm just like, was this at some point our ancestors? Because this stuff look African. Yeah. This these altars and stuff that they have here in Thailand, they predate Buddhism. So that means that they were practicing doing this spiritual practices before this spirituality, because they was doing anism, doing all. And I tell you another thing that they do that that keeps them linked to the ancient practice. You'll have them put red Fanta on the altar, because this they put red Fanta on the altar in replace of blood sacrifices they used to do on the altars. I'm telling you, Thailand is lit. I was like, oh my God, like they lit. Like I love stuff like that. Like when I be learning stuff like that, I'm like, oh, they is lit. Like I love that spiritual knowledge, because I'm like, oh, I'm learning something. I'm learning more about the ancestors and how to interpret. Because when you learn with ancestors, these are still my ancestors when I get over here. You understand me? Because again, I have to honor the land. It's like paying respect to your elders. You know, your ancestors tell you, don't go to them people's house and don't speak and respect them people. You treat them people just like we taught you to. We raised you up to be better than that. And them people gonna be looking after you. We want you to. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. And so when I started seeing the altars, I was like, oh my gosh, I can feel a connection like with my ancestors. I was like, oh my gosh, like I feel like I'm so at home. Like I can really be myself here, because these altars are like everywhere. You see them everywhere. And then you'll see people too. They'll pay homage there. They'll like incense. They'll leave some of the flowers there. They might leave a drink up there. So I'm saying, honor the ancestors where you go, because I'm telling you. And I did plenty of book reviews here. I talks about types of ancestors here. It is a vast network. You understand me? It's a vast network. When they say the ancestors, baby, you couldn't have a stronger alliance. You couldn't have a stronger alliance working with the ancestors. Praise be the ancestors. They are mighty and strong. I'm telling you that right now. They are mighty and strong. I'm telling you. See? That's what I'm saying, Cosin. I'm telling you, that's where it's at. That's what a blessing. That's where a lot of people slip up at, because they think when they thinking of ancestors, they thinking of just, they family. No, you got to honor them spirits of the land. Like Kosan said, when they travel, they honor the cities, the spirits in the city. You understand me? You got to pay homage. Like this thing goes so vast. See? And Kosan's right. No scam, because again, she honored the spirits. They honor the spirits. You understand me? And a lot of people miss out on this. That's why I tell you, I have so much going on with me. I don't have time to worry about nobody else. I'm trying to stay straight, stay straight with the spirit, because I don't got time for nothing else. See, a lot of people miss out on that. See, said I also give an offering to the ocean before swimming. I acknowledge the marine. And people don't. I was telling my daughters that. I said people need to stop getting in this water. You are going into another world. I think we don't even put no thought into that, because you're going another, and you have to be careful when you're going to that water, when you're going to that water, what you're doing and what you're saying in that water. Water holds memory. See, a lot of people, they get in that water and they doing frivolous stuff. You ain't got no respect for nature. You oblivious to what's going on. Water is a living, I think people get, and I was telling my daughter, I said, people just, I mean, they get in that water and they just mindless. They just think, you in somebody else's total realm, a different thing, and you know, give me a break. It is. Mm-hmm. That you typing into something right there, because most cancers are just psychic, and them Pisces. Yeah, just psychic, purely psychic. I don't know. And I hear you say that too, psychic medium Rebecca K. Like I get a feeling too, like you can be overwhelmed with those abilities. And that's probably why you're afraid of the ocean because you feel overwhelmed by some of your abilities. I don't know. I just picked that up when you said that. I think that's one reason why you are scared of the ocean. I think it's you can be overwhelmed by your own abilities. I think that's probably maybe you want to look at that. I think your I think your abilities are so strong because the cancers are natural psychics. And you got that Pisces rising too. That's a lot of spiritual energy there. That's a lot of watery energy there. And sometimes when you get in too much water, I know I'm like that. I'll go into a panic attack. You know, I go into a panic. That's why I have to be very careful about how far I'm going away from the shore because I go into a panic attack. I'd be like, oh my God, it happens sometimes. I feel overwhelmed. Hey, Teresa Brooks. Hey. See, I'm telling you, I think that's what it is. You get overwhelmed. And I think that's a spirit. But really look at how you look at your psychic gifts and are you really embracing all of them? Maybe it's probably some parts of your psychic gifts you're not ready to fully embrace. It may feel overwhelming. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Okay. Just saying. I know I go into a panic attack and the man be like, oh my God. And I can understand, because that water can be spirituality can be overwhelming sometimes. It be overwhelmed sometimes. I know I can have that because I have that when I have those dreams. When I have a dream and I find and I see it come to pass and I'm living in it, and I'm like, oh my God, you know, I'm beside myself. I'm like, oh, am I in a dream or is this real? I get overwhelmed then, and I'm just like, oh my God, it's I'm beside myself, and I have to come here and share this with you guys. So I'd be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is happening. You know what I'm saying? I can't believe it's real. I have to come here and share it with somebody because sometimes I'd be overwhelmed. Thank God for you guys. I can come here and share it for somebody who kind of gets what I'm saying. But I tell you, when it gets surreal is when those dreams kick up and you're having these premonitions and then you're living in it. You have a premonition and then you live you're living the premonition. It's just you see it on TV and it looks so cool. You're just like, oh, that's so cool. I have to get the premonition. But then when you actually live in it, you're like, oh my God, it's so surreal. Like, is this real? Oh, you was thinking about my channel? Yes, I've been on here for a while now. I've been talking about the new updates coming on. I've created a platform, a Hoodoo platform for us on Patreon. The link is in the bio here on the channel if you're interested in that. Uh, it's very affordable. So if you're interested in deepening your practice, your Hoodoo practice, that's a great community for us to vibe, and I can share a lot of information over there that I can't share here because we know our practice is closed. Hoodoo is a closed practice. Okay. But if you want to know more, you want to deepen your practice, you want to know me to, mentor you, and you're interested in doing some workshop, doing some collective work together, all to work together, get over there. Get over there. I want to see you over there. And what else did I talk about? Oh, I have an ancestral healing event coming up June 21st and June 22nd. The link is in the community chat. Yeah, you can find that over in the community where you can post stuff over there in the community. So you'll find all the information over there on the community post if you're interested in that. So that's the update on that. And then and been talking about my dreams here, how the ancestors have been kicking up my dreams. Like, and I'm in Thailand now, and they showed me Thailand before I got here, and it's crazy. I think I'm gonna post it maybe tomorrow because I was showing that alley. I was walking down it again today. It's got surreal today when I was walking down to the store today. I felt like I was back in a dream again. I was like, oh my God, like this is actually the place that I actually dreamed about. Like it is so crazy to me. And I never get used to it, even though I've been having these dreams since I was a little kid. Uh, but they have gotten more intense here lately. These dreams have become more intense lately. They have. Yeah, it's nice. I mean, I like it. I wanted to feel safe. So I feel safe for now. Yeah. I mean, I like it. I feel safe, and I feel more open. I don't know, like in the United States, I don't feel like I can be so much of myself like I cared. I think I cared about too much about what people thought or anything like that. I feel like when I got to Thailand, it's just like I'm just gonna be me. I don't give a damn what nobody think. I don't know why it did that when I came here, you know. Um, but it's definitely I've definitely feel some shifts in myself, and the ancestors are definitely showing me something about. It's definitely they're growing me in a place that I didn't know I needed to grow at. So I'm up for the lesson. You know, I'm deaf. The ancestors are really they are showing me something. They're growing me in a way that I didn't know I needed to grow. I'm definitely learning that. I cannot even dismiss that because the way they kept giving me the dream over and over again, girl, they kept putting me on this plane. I dreamed that I'm telling you, when I was over there in the States, I was dreaming that almost every night I went to sleep. I'm on the plane. I'm getting on the plane. I can remember working on my altar. I'm gonna talk about this dream. I can remember working on my altar, and I was working with the angel Sachiel. I mean, I was working him too. I mean, I've been working him for a couple of days, baby. I was like Isaac working, wrestling with the angel, wrestling with a blessing, baby. I was working at the altar. I'm just like, I ain't letting up on you. I ain't letting up on you. I'm working you where you gonna give me an answer. You gonna give me an answer. And usually when you work them altars like that, that you'll start having these dreams. They'll start popping up because I'm like, I can't wait to share this stuff with y'all. Y'all need to get over there on Patreon so I can show y'all this stuff. But I was working, I'm like, I ain't letting up. You gonna show me some. You gonna show me what I need to be doing. You gonna show, honey. I had a dream of the angel Sachiel, and in the dream, it trips me out now because I didn't know where we was, but we was like in this big old center, and it was people walking back and forth, and he had envelopes in his hand, and he was calling envelopes, giving everybody an envelope, and everybody was opening the envelope. And then he looked at me and he said, here go your envelope, but you don't open yours. He said, you don't open yours, Reddy. It's something else you need to do. And I was walking away. I was like, damn, what the hell? How you gonna come in my dream and then give me the envelope and tell me I can't open it? I just want to understand the way he was saying. I was like, what the hell? Why would you tell me that? You know what I'm saying? But now that I go back and look at the dream, we were in an airport. We were in an airport. We were in a Sachiel, the angel Sachiel was standing in the airport. Now that I go back, that place looked like an airport. He was standing in an airport and people was passing by and he was giving out envelopes. See what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. Psychic medium recommend. That's what I'm saying, girl. That's what I'm saying. That's what be tripping me out with these spirits, baby. I was working at altar. You hear me? I was working at altar like, when Isaac was wrestling with the angel and he said, I ain't letting you go till you bless me. That's how I had here. I had that angel like that. It's like, you gonna show up. I'm gonna work you and work you and work you till you show up. He showed up too. I didn't get the dream. And then when I didn't get the dream, I went to the ancestors. I said, I don't get this. All of them was showing me. Huh, that's something. I ain't never really dreamed. This the first time I dreamed about airplanes. I had never. This is my first time when this started kicking up and all this started happening to me. And I went to the ancestors and I said, "What is he showing? What is happening here?" Then they start kicking up dreams and start taking me. I was on airplanes and I was going to different places, and they kept giving me a house. But the thing that kept throwing me off when they was giving me a house is my ex-husband kept showing up at my house, and I was like, every time they gave me a house and I move in there, my ex-husband was in there, and I was like, what the hell are you doing in my house? Man, you got to get. I said, this is not your house. This ain't your house. My ancestors gave me how you can't stay here. That's the shit that was throwing me off. I'm like, what the, I was like, what the hell? And here I am, because I got them. You got to figure. You got to be willing to figure out your mind and stay grounded when you're doing this kind of work. And here I am. I go talk to my therapist, and I started telling her about this. I said, my ancestors be giving me houses. My damn husband keeps showing up. I said, it's pissing me off. It's pissing me off. I don't know why. That was my main thing. I'm like, I don't want him to be showing up in my dreams. And of course, she's going to give me another kind of answer. And I'm just like, nah, I don't think that's it. I usually when I have recurring dreams like this, spirit is trying to tell me something because I don't have recurring dreams like this and it's not a message. I don't know what that was. That was making me so mad. It was pissing me off so bad, and I still ain't figured that out. I mean, I'm just like because I thought about. It, I said, do I need to work his ass out on the altar a little bit more? Or should I'm scared to do that because I'm scared his ass might, show up in my dream again, Lord, because I don't want that to happen. Well, he was showing up, and it was pissing me off because I'm like, I'm trying to get a message, and here his ass keeps showing up. Why does he keep showing up? Ain't nobody even thinking about him, and so that was kind of throwing me off. I don't know. That was pissing me off. I was like, I don't dream about exes. That's what I told her. I said I've never dreamed about an ex, so it trips me out when I'm dreaming about him and I ain't thinking about him. What the hell? I'm not saying it don't mean something, and maybe it do, because when spirits be uh, dealing with me with these dreams, they can be so abstract. And it's not that they are not telling me. Again, we're dealing with our own archetypes, and they're having to use our consciousness to send us messages. And so sometimes we don't know our own archetypes. We don't know the meaning of our own archetypes because we haven't had enough experiences with our dreams. Did that make sense? Did that make sense to y'all? I find that be the problem. Hold on, y'all. Yeah. I find, I think that be that's the way spirit explained it to me. That was like, you're not understanding because you haven't really had enough experience with your dreams to understand how your archetypes show up in your dreams. Once you learn your archetypes, the meaning of your archetypes, how they show up in your consciousness, you'll be able to break down your dreams a little more. But it trips me out because when people come to me, I can dismantle their dream like it ain't no thing. I can get into there and put it together for them so easily. And then sometimes it happens too. My daughter was helping me, and I think my ancestors was using my daughter to help me dismantle my dreams because she started asking me at one point, "What you dream about?" And then I start remembering the dream, and then I found myself dismantling my dreams when she asked me that. When I start talking about it, I can dismantle it. But as long as I keep it in here, I'm kind of confused. But once I start talking about it, I'll be like, damn. But that's what the dream was saying. If I wouldn't have talked about it, I probably would have never figured that out. But I start catching myself doing that with her too. I'm just like, all of a sudden, she just start asking me Mom, what you dream about? And I was just like, oh my God, like, it's my daughter. Is the ancestors using my daughter to unravel my dreams? Because I start unraveling them when she started doing that. And she still do that from time to time. But I thought this would never happen when I first started my ancestor journey. I wanted this to happen. Like, I wanted to be so close to my ancestors so bad because I've heard people talk about how their ancestors show up in their dreams and show them things, especially in Ifa and in Voodoo. And I wanted that so bad for myself. And I'm so happy. I'm so happy I'm on this side of my spiritual journey. Is it perfect? No, absolutely not. But I do see the progress that I have made on this journey, and that I'm happy for. Okay. Anybody have any more questions for me before I close it out? I have just yapped away. I've given you updates about what's coming up. Um, and I'll be coming back sharing some more stuff. I'll keep the little what have I been posting? The reels. I'll be kind of keeping y'all in the loop of the reels too. I've been making some reels here lately, and some of them been hi Asin with Ashi. Gratitude. But if you're ever, check out the resources. There are some awesome resources here for you guys. I'm always happy and excited to share my experience with you, and what I know that works. You know, yeah, I can share books with you. I can recommend books for you. But the most valuable knowledge that I can offer you is my experience and what I know. That's how, real knowledge is transferred, not just from a book, but from the experience of your mentor, your practitioner. The ancestors had to teach me that. I learned that from them. I learned that from them. It was nice to meet you too. Any more questions, you guys? I'm gonna close out and I'll try to come back here soon. I want to keep you in the loop. Any questions before I close out, you guys? And I'll leave this video up here. You can come back and watch it later. And if you have any questions, and you can ask them, I'll answer them. Happy to answer them. But go check out our links. You're welcome, Coley Cole. Enjoyed you too. Thank you so much for engaging. But if you have any questions about anything, go ahead and shoot me a question. I will answer it to the best of my ability. Check out our links, our workshops. I'm sure you'll find something that is going to benefit you and help you on your journey. Light, love, namaste. Ashe, loved ones.